Hello, friends. Welcome. My makeup looks really good today. And my hair looks kind of good. Ooh. This is fun. To be fair, though. Michael, thank you so much. PP Graka, thank you. And also Flash, thank you. Flash, thank you for the 21... Ooh, I'm talking close to this thing. Flash, thank you for the 21 months, pal. Good old buddy old pal. Yes, please. Just one big chunky ice will do. Michael, thank you so much for the 16 months. I hope you're doing well. And PP Graka, thank you so much for the 9 months. Thank you, guys. Ryan, hi! Ryan, you changed your username so it's more clear that it's Foa and then Ryan. This is great. I love that for you. Lux, thank you so much for the 22 months. Thank you, Lux. Wow, everyone's resub has come up today, it seems. Thank you all so much. I do appreciate you all a lot. Thank you. It is a new month. So. Yeah, you are. Don't worry. This top keeps falling down. I don't know why. Andrew! Thank you so much for the 8.
How much of this? Is that enough?
Thank you. I'll taste it. I like a straw, please. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the resub as well. I appreciate it. Hello, Warrior Star. Hello, Nick. How are you guys doing? March is okay. March is a pretty good month. You know, people always say they hate, like, January. And that's when my birthday is, so I always feel a little bit personally attacked when people say that.
March and April are like the Wednesday of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I kind of don't feel that way, though. I feel like it's more like a Thursday, you know?
Taste it.
Mwah, perfect. Thank you. Your birthday's in January. What date? Me and Dylan are birthday twins. Yeah, it never fully fits in the glass. It's so annoying. Yeah, me and Dylan are birthday twins. I haven't seen Dylan in ages. Hope he's doing okay. The 11th. Mine is the 19th. So not too far apart. Andrew, what date is yours? I feel like I maybe knew you might be a January baby, Andrew. I'm just trying to... I think I did know that, but I don't know what date. I feel like it's in the 20s. Oh, it's not. You're birthday twins with Warrior Star. You're both the 11th of January. I love that. My god, what a small world. There is a 1 in 365 chance that you would have had that. See what I mean? This top is falling down. Yeah, there's a 1 in 365 day chance. No, just a 1 in 365 chance. She called you a baby. You know full well what I meant, though.
Oh, how shiny and red my face looks. Because I just had a shower and I washed my face.
Oh, no, you look fresh and healthy. You look like you're wearing blush. I'm wearing so much blush in real life, but on the camera I look like I'm not wearing much at all. I'm wearing so much. I lathered it on. Lathered? I don't think that's the word.
Lather blush, it's a powder.
Yeah, but maybe I meant layered it on. No, I meant like packed it on. Look, this one's going now. Fuck this top. Like, it's cute and everything, but it's not
clothes
worth it.
that fit you.
I do. They're just bad. I think I got these really cheap though, so I was like, I'll just buy them anyway. Okay, welcome everyone. We're doing day 2. That's for day 2 of reading the book. Hold the book up so I can take a picture, James. Which one is which? Whose is whose? Whose is whose, James? No, you need to hold it to the camera so that they can see. And then this can be my thumbnail as well. Okay, are you ready?
Did you do it? No, you can take a picture like this.
No!
Alpha, you can take a picture. Oh, right. I see what you're doing. But you can take a picture by just right-clicking and clicking.
Okay.
Taking a picture.
I'll also... Hang on, I'll save this and I'll remember to use it for the thumbnail. Because the VOD thumbnail is really funny. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no and then I could show you. We could be like, haha, that's funny because you look funny in it. You were doing the soy... Is it called soy jack? Because I always get worried that I'm saying it wrong. You did the soy jack again. I love that. Yeah. Okay, let's go and tweeter it for a real quick tweeter. We're doing...
It's the first time I've seen Twitter in a week. Nah,
look away.
3 days.
Look away. We're doing Red 13 story.
Jamie's already ruined my time.
Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy has an insane score. So good. That's really ruined your day, has it?
Yeah.
That's really sad. We're reading episode Yuffie and episode Nanaki. Is it called episode Nanaki or episode Red 13?
Episode Nanaki.
Ah, of course. See, I alternate names for him. I call him both. I call him Red 13 and Nanaki.
And then we'll also be doing Livestream White 2 and Livestream Black 3. So, there's that.
On the way to a smile
So
today.
chat, how's everybody's day been? It's a Wednesday today, it's the middle of the week. How's everybody, you been having a good day? Doing the things that you do on a Wednesday? Whether that's work or school or fucking being
Nokia, it's like
unemployed.
Nokia.
You know.
Nanaki.
Nokia.
Nanakia. I'm gonna make a phone company and call it Nanakia.
Probably get sued, to be
Nanakia.
honest with you.
Yeah, I reckon you would get sued by Nokia. Nanakia? Nanaki. Nanakia.
I don't know.
It actually is fairly different. It just sounds a bit
5,000
similar.
hours of watch time. People really like the videos you're creating.
It's my VODs channel.
People really like it.
I always don't know how to post things on here. No, not a poll, dick. No, how do I cancel this? There we go. I tried to reset a few days ago because it told me my subscription expired but didn't go through, so maybe it reset now that you're on. That's really weird, but either way I appreciate it. I have no idea why, because you are able to subscribe when I'm offline, which, like, you know, you may as well just wait till I'm live, but if you wanna, like, yeah, do it. 'Cause why not?
Patreon pledges have refreshed today.
Oh wow, is that good or bad?
But bad.
Oh
Because it
no.
means if people don't repledge, I don't make as much money.
Oh no.
Because you always get people whose payments decline because their cards changed or they don't have any money in their bank account or something. So like you always get that. It's only dropped by 20 quid though.
Oh, that's not bad. That's really good.
Dropped by about 20 patrons, but hopefully they'll repledge and join me again. It's not the money I really care about; it's the members. I want more members.
Yeah, you want to make
more
as many
people,
people
the
make
better.
them. You want people to see what you're putting out on there.
I mean, it let Mario see the post finally. True, so that is a positive, because anyone who had repledged, but their pledge hadn't run out yet, they couldn't see any of the posts on the page because they had to wait for it to refresh the next month. So now people that have done that can see the post. So actually, it's probably a good thing, because now people can actually see the posts, which is good.
There you go.
What pages are you guys on? Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, if you want to read. Wait, does anyone have the book and can actually read along? Because that
Page
would be so
73.
cute.
We're on page 73. Something's telling me Warrior Side does not have the book, and that's not why I was asking.
Yeah, probably not, but I just think it's a cute idea.
I have the book with me, yes. You Flash has the book. We're on page 73.
Wait, see, this is a bad crop. Will it still post the whole picture?
Yeah.
Okay,
You have to
because
click
you
it.
can't actually see the book properly.
Oh, that's-
Ah!
Works on mobile, though. If I click it on mobile, it expands and you see the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it should work.
Oh,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it does work. There you are. That's good. Okay. Well, let's read the book. Who wants to read a book today? Because I sure do. I say that sarcastically, but I really do like reading it. Amazing! Amazing! Anything else? I didn't know that Final Fantasy have a full-time book. Yeah, so there's two. There's On the Way to a Smile, which is the one that we're reading, and that one comes first. Thanks and good luck, Michael. What's the other one called?
There's more than two.
There's more than two.
Yeah.
What other ones are there?
There's, there's the new one that comes out that's like a remake one, which is Traces Who Passed.
I'm gonna
And
read
then
that on
there's-
stream also. I'll read all of them on stream, because why not?
There is another one, but like there's like some contention over whether it is or isn't canon,
Oh.
which is
But but all the other ones are canon.
yes.
Interesting.
Well, the
You two
Traces
that-
Who Passed is canon to remake though. The remake one. What was I just about to do? I was about to go check on Jazz's old.
Michael said that you two are the only streamers I fully subscribe to.
Wow,
Aww,
thank
that's
you.
really nice. Oh, I really appreciate that you kind of put us in that top tier of streamer, I presume is what you're saying. Thank you though. Give me one, please.
The Maiden Who Travels
They
the
have
Planet.
multiple. Oh yeah,
That's the other one.
we will just post you our copies. You can have one of them for sure. When is that already out?
That's the other one. Yeah, that's our old one. That's but
Oh.
a lot of people like it's like not canon.
I
believe.
will read all of them.
That's what Jazz
Hydrate.
says.
This is
Canonicity is
cider.
debatable. Maiden is not canon. Yeah. we haven't changed any of this since last stream, so audio should be fine, right?
Oh yeah, good point.
Cool. Scoot.
It would have been a bit fucked.
But yeah, the main ones for 7 are this one, and then The Kids Are Alright, which is a great book, but it's also really funny too.
Okay, so I can X off all of
We need
that.
music.
Yeah.
I've got to get Nanaki's theme. Traces is very good as well. Wow.
It's called Red 13's theme though.
Oh. Just do the top one and right click and loop.
Oh yeah, this is the original one, so
Right
let me
click and
mute
loop
this.
it.
Hang on.
Right click and loop. Right click, yeah, loop it. There we go. How are we doing? Well, Pedro. Well.
This is such a good theme.
Maiden was quite a good little story though, Me When I Am Lying. Hey, we all know that Nick has terrible opinions until people tell him that they're bad and then he doesn't. Oh, sorry, Nick.
I'm gonna say this is loud enough.
Didn't Nick also
Maybe
say
a little
that Final Fantasy VII, what's that anime called, was good? And it's absolutely not.
I don't know. I didn't know there was an anime.
Last Order. Oh, what a terrible fucking movie.
Okay. Page 70 what?
73.
Yes, episode of Naki.
I'm gonna get this open straight away.
Can
Ready?
I...
Damn it.
Pretty close.
No, I wasn't close.
Can
I
I
was
just
straight away.
say that I genuinely probably like Red 13 the most out of all of them, actually. Well, at least his story. The actual character, like, I'm always gonna love Aerith.
His chapter
the
is
most,
also the best chapter
but-
in this book.
Hype. I really vibed with Red 13's story. It broke me on several occasions.
I forgot about that. I love this. This is so good. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah, I'm the narrator, your voices once again. Are you ready?
So the ones that also I'll do the ones that are italics because that's in his head. We should have done that last time. instead of
Oh, okay,
reading
fair enough, yeah. Okay, well, you start then.
Red 13.
Let's go! Episode Nanaki!
How do you say this name? Because
Gilligan?
Gilligan. Is that how you say
Gilligan?
it?
Yeah.
Gilligan?
I would say it's Gilligan.
Gilligan?
Gilligan.
Gilligan, I think.
Gilligan.
Yeah, with both,
That sounds
both
about
with
right.
like hard G's. What? Gilligan, yeah.
It just sounds
Alright.
funny.
Leave me be, Gilligan. I don't know what you are, but leave me be.
Nanaki, who is also known to some as Red 13, howled at the moon, trying to spit out the tar-black creature nestled in his heart. His voice echoed out from the mesa.
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 You know what a mesa is?
No.
You know, like in a canyon in America, those big, just like, they're not mountains, but like, you know, those big things and they're flat on top.
Yeah.
Basically, where
where he is
Cosmo
in.
Canyon
Yeah.
is, that's a mesa,
Okay. Learn something
like,
new.
like Meridian, you know, Meridian from Horizon, that's situated on top of a mesa.
Oh, right.
The-
Yeah. No,
the
yeah, I
theme-
get it.
The theme for it's called The City on the Mesa.
The tar-black creature nestled in his heart. His voice echoed out from the mesa on which he stood through the cold night air. Oh no, that doesn't make sense. The flames
No, it does.
from the mesa on
From
which
the
he
mesa
stood.
on which he stood.
Oh, it kind of needed a comma in there, I think,
In which
because
he
it's saying
stood
his
through the cold
voice
night
echoed out from the mesa on which he stood, comma, through the cold night air.
yeah, maybe.
I think. Anyway, they should have had me
Okay, come on.
publish this, but
No,
anyway.
finish this.
His voice, the flames at the
God.
end of his twitching tail, illuminated his shivering form and made his red fur glow. There was no answering cry to his howl. There never was, but this time it seemed that the silence itself was a sort of reply.
I must deal with this by myself. Gilligan resides within me. He is my enemy and mine alone.
Okay. He had become aware of the creature only a few short days ago. Now Nanaki tried to follow the train of events that led to the birth of Gilligan and of it taking hold inside him. Nanaki had returned home to Cosmo Canyon after his long adventure with Cloud and the others that culminated in the defeat of Sephiroth and the saving of the planet. The people there, his tribe, celebrated his triumphant return, hailed him as a hero, and bestowed many honors upon him. Many hours. They demanded he recount his adventures and hung on every word of the telling. Pride, or something like it, filled his breast. He also told his story to his father, Seto. Oh, His own father's tale, he now knew, was not that of a coward but of a brave warrior who to this day watched over the village from where he had been turned to stone in battle with the G tribe.
Should have used a gold needle. What are they doing?
What? Don't get it.
That's how you cure like petrification in Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's not in 7, is it? A gold needle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Never
an
heard of
item.
a gold needle?
Yeah, if someone gets turned to stone, you just use a gold needle on them.
God,
Maybe that's not in 7, but it should be, right? It's in 6. It's in 1 through 6.
This theme is really short. It's already repeated like 6 times. Okay, this is you.
Father, you and Mother were true warriors who fought to protect our village. I've tried to protect it too, in my own way, and I think I have. But for now, it is time for another journey. A peaceful one this time. This world teems with life, and I yearn to see it. I want to see chocobos hatch, to see tundra turn brown, to see everything. Wait, that's just another line of dialogue.
Wait, did the dialogue... Oh, they didn't end it.
They just didn't end it.
Yeah.
That's
weird. Okay.
Grandfather told me that that must be my mission. To see with my eyes and hear with my ears, and remember everything, and then pass on all that I experience. It feels right to me, this new mission.
Gazing up at the petrified form of his father, Nanaki added one more thing.
I'll return to tell you all that I learn. I promise.
After that, Nanaki informed the people of the canyon of his new mission as given to him by his late grandfather, Bugenhagen.
I'm sure it's Bugenhagen.
Bugenhagen.
I don't think so.
Bugenhagen.
Okay.
Of course.
That was the most nerd thing you've ever said with the gold needle.
Of course, the tribe's people gave him their blessing, saying that it was a journey worth taking, and that they would always be here whenever he saw fit to come home again. As he climbed down the steep slope from the village, he turned around one more time. His people were still waving to him. In reply, he sat back and pawed the air with his front legs, and he howled into the dry desert air.
Farewell. I will return. Prosper and be safe.
Content in the knowledge that they understood the meaning of his parting howl, Nanaki leaped nimbly down the sandstone cliffs to a spot where a small boulder sat, just large enough for him to stand atop it. He always stopped briefly here when he left the village, for one last look at the mesa upon which it stood. Beyond this point it would be hidden from view for good, but this time, when he looked up, he found that his last view of the village was blocked by a fall of huge boulders.
The life stream.
Nanaki realized.
Here, too. It wrought destruction, and it knocked those boulders from a rocky cliff.
Indeed, he had seen many changes in the familiar landscape when he first came home. Now looking around again, he saw layers of rock that had stood for ages, caved in and collapsed, and prominent outcroppings that had once served as landmarks crumbled and fallen.
Nothing for it,
he thought.
It matters not if some rocks are here instead of there. It's nothing at all compared to places like Midgar and other cities that have been smashed beyond repair.
Nanaki hopped down from his boulder and set off once more. Suddenly he sensed something. There was a change inside him. In his body. No, in his mind, his heart. He stopped short and closed his eyes, searching within.
There. That's it. What is it?
He needed to describe it to himself with words. Putting words to things helped one understand them. At least it did for him.
It's pitch black. Like a hole opened up in my heart. No, not a hole. There's no emptiness. It's the opposite. Feelings, thoughts, too densely crammed together. I can feel it shaking violently. It's transforming. But into what?
Just asking the question made him shiver in terror. He was trembling so hard he could barely open his mouth to breathe. He clenched his teeth and waited for it to pass. It didn't. He couldn't endure this. He gasped a ragged breath and dashed back up the steep slope towards the village. The people who had only just seen him off gathered around in concern.
Nanaki, what's wrong?
Was all that came out. The dark mass that had terrified him was already gone.
You're homesick already?
Someone ribbed. Others laughed.
I don't know. Nanaki, chin up. What happened to our brave warrior? He is unchanged, I think.
Nanaki stayed and talked for a while. Then he bid farewell and set out once more. He could have taken a different path out of the village, but he made himself go the same way. He had to see if the terror was tied to that place, but nothing happened this time. He gave a name to the terrible thing that had arisen so suddenly in his heart. Gilligan, he called it. There was no meaning to the name, but this way he hoped he would know it better. It would stop him from forgetting how it felt, how it was. As Nanaki continued his journey, he tried to bring Gilligan back to mind and pore over the memory, to see if he could understand what it was. But the terror grew within him too quickly, and he had to put it away again, back into a corner of his mind. He would leave it there until he could face it with a clear head, without fear. Nanaki left Cosmo Canyon with only a rough idea of where his travels would lead. He wanted to go west first and visit the narrow island where Yuffie's homeland of Wutai lay. He wants to go say hi, Yuffie. Then to the larger continent to the east. There stood Rocket Town, where Sid lived, and Barrett's village of Corel, and Nibelheim, Cloud and Tifa's hometown. After that, north. He wanted to see the furthest reaches of the hinterlands, beyond the roads traveled by man. He's not man. Sorry. Fucking sleeve. How long would it take him? He did not know, but he was in no hurry. If it was true what they told him, that his kind could live for 500 years or even 1,000. I didn't think 1,000. I don't remember being told 1,000. Then he had many human lifespans to spend on his roaming.
I will be careful. I have much to see and no intention of being killed out there.
Nanaki headed for Wutai. He hoped to find Yuffie there. The girl sometimes treated him like a pet, more than a comrade. But he knew that it was just her way, and she liked and respected him.
She's like an open book, Yuffie is. Her thoughts writ clear. She lacks all guile.
He thought. Surrounded by people older than her, she was always striving to be on equal footing with them, determined to show that she belonged there with them in any battle, no matter her inexperience. Nanaki well understood her feelings. Though Nanaki was nearly 50 years old himself, Yuffie, a girl of 15 or 16, I like that they're not even telling us, they're just guessing, a girl of 15 or 16, was the one companion he had empathized with the most. His grandfather had claimed Nanaki was still a child, when his years were measured against the lifespan of his own species, and perhaps the old man had the right of it. He did not like the idea that he was just still a callow youth, but the fact was that he grew at a different pace than humans did, and there was nothing he could do about that. I love this. I didn't know he related so much to Yuffie. You know what? Actually,
yeah, of course it does. It makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense, and I was editing my video earlier today, my 7 video, and there was a bit in what's the place called where Priscilla is in the dolphin?
Junon.
Yeah, Junon. They were in Junon, and when the gang is sort of there and then they split up, Yuffie and Nanaki go off together and talk to each other, and Tifa and Aerith, and then there's like, I think at that time it's just Barrett. But yeah, I didn't realize that would be why. I thought it was just like, oh, that's so random at the time.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I did not know the stream had started. We're still on the starting screen because it was paused.
Oh
no.
My God, Ryan!
Wait, what did you say in chat? Because Elva said something to you when she saw your name, because she was like, oh, you've capitalized it now.
Yeah, and I swear you responded. Did you not? Hang on. Oh, you haven't been in chat for ages. No. Right.
Right.
I don't know what you're responding to. I did say, to be fair, I did say I like that you've changed your name so it's really clear that it's Ryan now. By coincidence, Yuffie was the very first person he saw as he approached Wutai. He was coming over the mountains and spotted her in the distance. In his excitement, his first instinct was to pounce on her and give her a good scare, but when he looked more closely, he saw that she was dragging a boy about her age by the arms, stumbling backward towards Wutai. It looked like she had been at it for a while. The pair left a trail of something in the grass as they passed, a dark smear that stretched a long way behind them. Was the boy injured? From where he stood, it looked as if Yuffie was talking to him. She stopped, stooped over to catch her breath. Then she tried to hoist the boy onto her back, but he was larger than she was, and she staggered under the effort.
Guess I arrived at the right time,
Nanaki said, to no one in particular, and he loped down toward her. He was worried for Yuffie and her friend, but he was selfishly glad for the opportunity to help someone when they weren't expecting it. He padded softly up. She was still wrestling with the unconscious boy and hadn't noticed him.
You look as if you need help.
The boy was called Yuri, and he was sick with the same illness that was ravaging Midgar. The symptoms included dark bruising that seeped with black pus, and in many pus.
Puss.
Pus.
Oh my God, hello. If it is an 11, what does that mean?
If it is an 11?
11.
Like the Doctor, the 11th Doctor? I have no idea. But
11.
Hi, Floyd. Welcome
11
in.
from Stranger Things.
How is your day going? Oh, yeah. Okay, which one do you want to be? I'll be Matt Smith. Oh, you can
Black
be
Puss in Boots. That'd be what it is if Disney made it. Am I right? The social justice warriors get hold of my Puss in Boots. Elva means 11 in Swedish. Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I've been told Elva means many different things in many languages.
In English, it means cunt.
Yeah.
Alright. Are we ready?
In Irish, I think it means something to do with elves.
Okay,
Or some of the elves or something. Even though it's not a word I've ever used in Irish. Anyway.
Ravaging Midgar.
The symptom, that's how, when you're reading in school and the teacher has to put you back on track. This is what this is like. The symptoms included dark bruising that sped.
Sped?
I did read this bit already.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I know, but...
the symptoms included dark bruising that seeped with black pus, and in many cases, the victims died soon after contracting it. It was a terrible disease, and in Midgar it was a problem, at least as urgent as the reconstruction of the ruined city, perhaps even more so. Nanaki had heard rumors that it was contagious, but Yuffie did not shy from touching Yuri as she tried to look after him. He grew nervous.
Should I warn her?
But from what Yuffie had told him already, she clearly knew about the illness. So did she just not care? Was she willing to die? No, that was not Yuffie's way. She wasn't reckless, and certainly not suicidal. She cared for others. Nanaki didn't know how close Yuffie and Yuri were, but he knew she would never abandon a friend. Oh. As soon as that occurred to him, he began to resent Yuri. How dare he risk infecting Yuffie? How dare he allow himself to depend on her kindness? It made Nanaki's fur bristle, but there was nothing he could do about it. The boy was still Yuffie's friend, and she cared for him. Still, when Yuffie brought up the possibility that some materia or other might cure the disease, Nanaki scoffed because she could finish and informed before she could finish and informed her that it would never work. It was spiteful, but he could not help himself. Yuffie scolded him for his callousness, which he had expected. What he didn't expect was the hurt and sadness in her eyes. Nanaki felt horrible. Aww. Eventually, the three of them reached Wutai, and Nanaki decided to stay for a few days. Yuffie nursed the boy, who was quarantined with others suffering the disease. Nanaki tried to help, doing the simple tasks that were asked of him, but mostly he just watched and observed. He wanted to commit this disease and its awful progress to memory, as another part of the process of life.
Say, is it true you can talk?
Asked one of the patients.
Yes.
Nanaki replied.
Now, isn't that strange? Wonder why the gods made a creature like you. It's like they put a mind and heart in the wrong body. Don't you wish you were human? No.
Why would he? Humans suck. Thinking back on this exchange later, he had an epiphany. He had been given the ability to think and feel like a human so that he could understand them better. His purpose was to watch and remember the changes they underwent, to witness the rise and fall of their civilizations, and to pass down the flame of that knowledge to their grandchildren's grandchildren.
There.
Nanaki thought.
That's one more thing I've come to understand.
That's really weird that they've actually, they've made, a whole point of being hey, you're human, but in a dog, lion thing body. What would you say he looks most like? He's kind of like a lion, right? I'd probably say a dog lion.
Like a saber tooth.
Yeah, he is.
Mountain lion or something.
A saber-tooth makes sense to me. He wanted to linger in Wutai to observe the sick and spend time with Yuffie, but Yuffie had something else in mind for him. She asked him to leave Wutai and learn more about the disease. So simple as that, he left. As he descended into a valley, he turned back for one more look at the town. He hoped to catch a glimpse of Yuffie working next to the makeshift hospital, but he had travelled farther down the slope than he thought, and the town was already out of view. Oh, he just wants to do his little look back.
Well, I'll be back soon enough,
he thought as he set out once more, and felt something clench at his heart.
Gilligan.
It was back. Nanaki focused on the presence within him.
This time, I'll figure out what it is.
The clump of blackness quivered, and then images started to rise to the surface. They were the faces of the people of Cosmo Canyon. They had peaceful expressions as they rose and then sank back into the void. Then a different face. He recognized it vaguely.
Who is that?
He couldn't remember. He began to tremble all over, so hard he was unable to stay on his feet and had to lie down.
The name. You know that name. Just remember it,
he told himself. Then Gilligan showed him Yuffie's face, wearing a mild expression he'd never seen on her in real life. Her face, too, fell away into the black. Suddenly, the idea of death came into his mind. Were the people of that canyon going to die? Was Yuffie going to die? Terror gripped him.
Help me.
Nanaki crouched on the ground, entreating the planet beneath to hold him, to cradle his shuddering body. He was about to cry out again, hoping Yuffie might hear, when, as suddenly as it had come, Gilligan disappeared. Gingerly, he got to his feet and looked around. He ran back up the slope of the basin to look at Wutai. He could see Yuffie, hard at work. Long before he would, she would grow old and die. There were many elders among the canyon people, and they would go even sooner. Just thinking of it filled him with sorrow. There would be much weeping and grieving in his future, that much was certain. But why did Gilligan strike such paralyzing dread in him when it made him think of their deaths? Was that the meaning of Gilligan? Was it the embodiment of his fear of the day when everyone he knew would be dead and gone? Nanaki shook his head, trying to clear the baleful thoughts from his mind. Of course, he understood that the death of his friends was inevitable, but he didn't want to dwell on it any more than he had to. Damn. That bit is...
It's really good.
It's actually, it's tough. It's a tough little bit to read, because it's the reality we all face.
Yeah.
And it's a reality I think about a lot, and it's tough.
I really like the Gilligan thing.
Yeah, it's weird. So far, like, it's kind of like, it's more of like a concept, right? It's not a real thing. Like, is that's...
No, it's not a real thing. No.
Yeah, like, but I just...
He just doesn't understand what
But
it is.
why does he describe it as like a black entity? Is that just like him trying to say that's what it feels like?
He's trying to make sense of this anxiety he's never felt.
Right, it's anxiety. Gilligan is anxiety.
Yeah, so he just had an anxiety attack.
Wow.
He doesn't know what that is.
And and I think Nanaki...
He thinks it's some sort of like evil creature trying
Yeah,
to
and Nanaki has a way of doing that. Like when he kind of has a way of making things up to explain stuff. Like when Bugenhagen dies, he kind of makes up this story. Like, oh, he's just gone off.
Yeah, which shows because he's a kid, so he doesn't know how to deal with things.
Oh,
yeah.
I already feel like crying. I love this character so much.
Okay.
Nanaki changed his plan for the... Sorry, let me start that again. Nanaki changed his plan for the journey. He had a new task to find out more about what Yuffie and the others were calling the Midgar Pox. It seemed logical to go to Midgar first. There would be as much chaos as knowledge in the city, but introspective Cloud and sensible Tifa were there too. Given enough time, he was sure to learn something, Nanaki thought, so he headed east. As he passed south of Mount Nebel, Nanaki entered a forest he hadn't even known was there. He soon became lost. At first he forged ahead, trusting his animal instincts, but the forest was larger than he thought. Still, he was not worried. He knew he'd find a way out. No matter how dense the foliage, he could still tell where the sun was in the sky. He set a direction based on its position, using knowledge he had learned from humans, and pushed on. Eventually, he was sure he would emerge from the east edge of the forest. Suddenly, he heard a gunshot. It echoed among the trees, making it hard to pinpoint the source, but he took a guess, charged forward, and burst into a clearing to find a monster rearing over a boy of about 10. The monster looked like a bear with a long tail. Or maybe it was a bear. No, it was definitely a bear with a long tail, because in Final Fantasy VII, they make the monsters by combining two different things, so... whatever it was, he could see blood matting the rust-coloured fur on one of its front legs. The boy must have hit the monster with his shot, but now he was on the ground, cowering as the wounded beast snarled at him.
Now, what shall I do? Wait, no. Now, what shall I do with you? It seemed to be thinking. Like, I don't really know.
I guess I should have read that, really.
I mean, it's in his... Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Then, eyes burning red with rage, it started to close in on the boy. Nanaki jumped from his hiding spot, grabbed the boy's collar... Oh, I was thinking of collar, like collar. In his teeth, and dragged him to the edge of the clearing. Then he stepped over the boy and faced the bear creature, which seemed unperturbed by the arrival of a new foe. It leaped at Nanaki, its jagged claws bared. If those get me, I'll be in a bad way, he thought. It's a Neeby bear! Go for its throat! That's his weak point! Gasped the boy. I do really good young boy voice.
It's a Neeby bear!
Get it! It's a big bear! Nanaki had no idea if the boy knew what he was talking about, but the throat was a vulnerability for many creatures, and the advice seemed sound enough. He let out a vicious, feral growl, a sound he hadn't made in a long time, hoping to intimidate the monster. The Neeby bear froze, realizing it had never encountered an enemy like this before, and warily sized him up. They glared at each other. What are you waiting for, Red? Do it! Red? How did he know?
Who are you to shout orders?
Nanaki thought.
This is a battle between two beasts, with no weapons but those nature has given them. It is not for humans to give commands here. The forest belongs to the wild creatures.
Wait, this must be someone we know. But
keep going, just keep going.
Okay. Then another gunshot rang out. Blood gushed from the Neeby bear's throat, and it toppled slowly to the forest floor with a mighty thud. Another person, a man this time, and undoubtedly a hunter, stepped out of the trees and strode up to the bear. He fired a mercy shot into the bear's head, and the beast died with a last shuddering breath. Then the hunter turned his gun on Nanaki. He was wary and alert, but it didn't look like he meant to fire quite yet.
Dad, don't shoot him! Red saved me! The gods must have sent him to be my guardian. Can we take him home?
The boy cried, jumping in front of Nanaki.
Red, you've already named him?
Asked the hunter. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, look at his fur.
Is this not set after 7, though?
He just called him Red because he's red.
Okay.
It wasn't because he knows him.
Okay. Can we take him home? The boy cried.
What, do you think the kid was fucking Hojo?
What? Why Hojo?
Why did
of
you
all
say
the-
this is set after 7 as if like this was the time when he got his name?
Oh yeah. Well, I just thought. I mean,
Hojo
but
named him Red 13.
but
in the
oh yeah,
lab.
he does say that. Yeah.
This is the 13th.
Well, okay, yeah, I did think it was baby Hojo then, didn't I? I did. He brings him home and then starts experimenting on him and then locks him up. Okay.
No, he just called him Red because he's red.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was just, okay. Nanaki cared not at all for the name. It reminded him of his previous name, given to him by a madman. The name Red reminded him of his previous name, Red. He growled his displeasure. The hunter and his son warily stepped back.
I know what you are. You can speak, can't you?
The hunter still hadn't lowered his gun.
Shimmer put a bounty on you a while back for an animal. And shoot me down if you don't match the description exactly. An enormous wolf, red fur, flame at the end of the tail. God damn. If I found you a couple years back, we'd be living real easy now. Wait, Red can talk? Of course I can talk, and I'm probably smarter than either of you, but I shall not talk to you. Not a man who points a gun at me, nor a boy who names me without leave. I won't be your friend.
Oh. Nanaki turned and darted back into the forest.
Damn it!
The hunter fired, but the shot only grazed Nanaki's ear. Oh, his little ear.
So you're willing to shoot me after all. You're the sort of humans who would shackle me and keep me in a cage. You talk at me and never listen, and imagine somehow that we are companions. That is my loyalty. That my loyalty is given and not coerced.
I think this might be a commentary on pets. Sora, I'm so sorry,
I
but
will not talk to you. We will not be friends.
Sora, please, can you just confirm for the stream that we are not holding you
I'm gonna
captive?
shoot in Grace's ear.
No!
Okay, come on.
Hang on, that might make a funny clip, to be fair. Sorry, which is oh, there we go. After he had put some distance between himself and the clearing and made sure the hunting duo did not follow him, Nanaki stealthily doubled back to spy on them. They were still in the clearing, butchering the bear with long hunting knives.
Dad, I want to keep Red. I guess it could have made us some money. Shimmer's probably not interested in coughing up bounties no more, but we could have made some gil charging people to see it. Like down in the Gold Saucer, maybe. No, Dad, I want to be his friend. Don't be a damn fool.
The hunter deftly severed the Neebi bear's tail. The Neebi bear's tail.
That thing's not a pet. You couldn't ever control a wild animal like that. Neither could you.
Nanaki thought.
Alright, let's head back and fetch more folk.
The hunter said.
Why? Damn it, son, you're being dense today. We need help hauling all this meat. Time was we'd just take the tail and sell it to Shinra. They use it to make a stimulant or something for the soldiers, and they pay handsomely for it. But these days we need meat as much as we need gil. Bear meat ain't the tenderest, but it makes a decent stew when you cook it right. This'll be the first time for me eating a bear. Won't be your last. Lean times are coming, son. People are gonna get hungry, and I don't know how long it'll last. But we'll get our chance to make rich as long as we keep our eyes open.
Then the father and son departed, leaving what was left of the Neebi bear's carcass.
The hunter isn't a bad person, really.
Nanaki thought.
He was just doing what he can do. He's just doing what he can to make sure his family survives. But the Neebi bear provides meat for humans. If the Neebi bear provides meat for humans, then it is only natural for them to hunt it. All creatures must eat it in order to survive.
Bugenhagen had once told him that the difference between animals and monsters was what they did with their kills. An animal would feed, but a monster would simply kill and look for more victims. If humans were judged by the same standards, Nanaki thought, as many would be called monsters as animals. Killing the Neebi bear only for its tail would make the hunter a monster. Killing it because he needed to feed his people would make him part of the natural world. Firearms and other man-made weapons tilted the balance unfairly in favor of humans, but the food chain was what it was.
Even if I don't like them, it's not my place to stop the hunter and his son.
Naki had to conclude. Having grown up in the company of humans, he himself hardly ever hunted. The few times he had done it were only to assure himself that he could. The prey he had brought down died not to feed him, but to test his mettle, so he was a monster too, and had no right to judge the hunter and his son. Most humans lived with their lives with hardly a passing thought for those of the animals they consumed. Indeed, they tried very hard to think about it. They tried hard not to think about it, and left the burden of rearing and slaughtering and butchering to others so that their own hands stayed clean, or so they fooled themselves. This is really just a commentary on humans.
And I am no different.
Thought Nanaki.
But what is the point of sitting here in this clearing, brooding over such things? Perhaps there is an answer out there, a path of absolute good waiting to be found. But if it exists, I shall not find it by this bear's body.
Insects and small scavengers were already crawling over the carcass. Nanaki sat up straight and watched. Here was another part of life at work. He must quiet his emotions, observe without judgment, and remember.
Cree!
With keening cries, 2 Nibi bear cubs came crashing out of the undergrowth, scattering the scavenging animals. They rubbed up against the carcass, pawing and nosing. Aww.
Dead bear, their mother.
They were trying to wake her. Nanaki stared, unable to do anything, but then he remembered what the hunter had said. He would be back soon, with 2 men from the village, and then the cubs would be in danger too. If Nanaki had meant only to observe, the appearance of the cubs changed his mind. He emerged from the bush slowly as not to alarm them.
She is gone. You can do nothing. And it's not safe to stay here. You must go.
He tried to urge them back into the forest, but of course they couldn't understand him. They stared at him with uncomprehending eyes.
You can't be here. There are more humans coming.
Nanaki considered it for a moment, then sprang at one of the cubs and picked it up by the scruff of the neck.
Cree!
The cub shrieked. The other squealed in reply.
This should work.
Nanaki thought as he took the cub into the forest. Its sibling followed.
That's right. Just keep up. Stay close to me.
Carrying the one cub in his mouth, he loped deeper and deeper into the forest. Occasionally he had to wait for the other as it scrambled after him on its short legs, and when it caught up, he pushed on again. Eventually he reached another open space in the middle of the forest. The group was set with weathered paving stones. Clearly...
I'm not using group.
Shit. The ground was set with weathered paving stones. Clearly humans had been here at one time. He investigated the surroundings and found a pile of stone blocks. Perhaps someone had intended to build a cottage here, but there was no other signs of activity, just the serene desolation of a ruin long abandoned. Nanaki felt safe enough to set down the cub in his jaws, but when he did, it just lay on the stone unmoving. Dismayed, Nanaki bent his head to nuzzle the little creature and, to his relief, heard soft, slow breathing. It had dozed off.
What a carefree little thing you are.
Its brother came bounding up with another Cree and sniffed his sleepy sibling, nosing it all over, perhaps intrigued by Nanaki's scent on its fur. Curiosity satisfied, the cub yawned and snuggled up to its sibling for a nap. Nanaki smiled indulgently at the pair, but then he began to worry.
Now what do I do? It would appear I've made myself responsible for them.
He lay down and gazed at the sleeping cubs. Could they survive without their mother? What did Nibi bears eat? They had the appearance of fierce predators, but appearances could be deceiving. Many bear-like creatures were omnivores that relied on berries and roots for food. Nanaki himself was an omnivore for that matter. If the cubs were too, then it should make it easy for them to find food here in the forest. He had to make a decision.
I'll collect some berries and tubers for them.
Tubers.
For them and leave. Their future might be uncertain, but I can't stay and take care of them forever. Better for them that I leave quickly before they grow attached to me. But first...
Nanaki yawned, stretching his jaws wide, and closed his eyes. He needed sleep too. When he woke a little while later, the cubs were nowhere in sight.
Ah, good. They've left of their own accord. Be well, little ones.
But no sooner did he think this than he felt something tickling his flank. He looked down to see the 2 cubs fast asleep, nestled contentedly against his belly.
Ah, spoke too soon.
Nanaki grew aware of an emotion he'd never felt before, which suddenly swelled up in his chest, too strong to be brushed aside by reason. He knew then that he would stay and care for the cubs until he was sure they could survive on their own. Baz and Lin followed Nanaki everywhere, and he taught them to hunt. It was not his strong suit, but he worked to improve so he could pass on the knowledge to the cubs. He felt no guilt for the lives he took. This was a battle for survival, as it should be. Sometimes they would encounter other Nibi bears. He tried to communicate to them that he was not their enemy, but his appeals were soundly rebuffed. Each time he was plagued with doubts anew.
I shouldn't be here. I should have left the cubs with the other bears. But there is still a chance they will accept me as a fellow denizen of this place.
He thought of many things during his time in the forest. Each day brought new discoveries and new worries too. But on the whole, it was a time of true peace for him. The question of how long he should keep living this way crossed his mind on occasion, and when it did, he reminded himself that it was part of his mission. And yet, at the same time, he was aware that he had come to love this life. It was hard to walk away. Occasionally, he saw human hunters traveling through the forest in search of game. Indeed, over time, he saw more and more of them, armed with weapons clearly meant for taking down large quarries such as bears, so more people were turning to bear meat as a source of food. Nanaki realized he would have to teach Baz and Lin how to evade humans, as well as how to hunt. Months passed, he did not know how many. He had left calendars and other trappings of human civilization behind him when he entered the forest. Nanaki could live either way, as a human or as an animal, and this was animal time. He had not forgotten his promise to Yuffie, and it nagged at him sometimes. But the disease was a human problem. It had nothing to do with the beasts of the forest. It sounded harsh, put into such words, but it was the truth nonetheless. When he returned to the human world, he would explain it to them.
I lived as a beast of the deep forest. My feelings were those of creatures of the wild, not of a man living in a city.
Gilligan was still with him and appeared a few times. It had added the faces of Baz and Lynn to its nightmarish visions. When their images rose out of the blackness and then sunk into it again, Nanaki shrank and whimpered in fear, but the real Baz and Lynn were never far away, and when he saw and heard and smelled them, the fear thinned and vanished like the morning mist. By now, Nanaki understood what Gilligan was. It was his fear of loss. It was the terror of losing those he loved that made him shiver. This understanding made him no longer fear Gilligan. If he allowed himself to be cowed by the idea of loss, he would never gain anything in life at all. His time in the forest came to a swift and sudden end. Baz and Lynn had been growing more independent, and they had taken to leaving his side for longer and longer stretches. Then, one night, when the tops of their ears were level with Nanaki's own shoulders, the cubs simply wandered off alone and went to build their own beds of branches. So something has ended. Nanaki thought. It made him lonely, but of course they had to grow up. The next morning when he woke, he didn't see them at all. Just as they decided to sleep apart, now they were hunting for food on their own. One day, a few weeks later, he was in their clearing when a gunshot broke the forest stillness, followed by the roar of a Nibi bear. It was Baz. By now, Nanaki knew the forest intimately. He ran straight towards Baz and arrived at a familiar scene. It was the same hunter's boy cowering on the ground. A Nibi bear was prowling close. It was Baz, but his attention was not on the boy, but on the forest beyond. Nanaki realized he was waiting for Lynn. Baz reared up on his hind legs, raised his front claws high, and roared. From somewhere in the forest, Nanaki heard Lynn's reply. The boy was terrified, but he still had enough wits to scan for an escape route, and then he saw Nanaki. Hope shone in his eyes.
Red, it's me! You saved me before, don't you remember?
That day, Nanaki had not been able to leave this boy to his fate. But now he knew what he needed to say.
This forest. You and I both must obey its laws.
The boy's eyes widened in wonder to hear Nanaki speak in a human voice. In his excitement, he seemed to completely forget the danger he was in.
Okay, Red, I get you. I can handle this on my own.
The boy sprang to his feet and made a dash for the gun that Baz must have knocked from his grasp.
I wasn't trying to motivate you, damn it.
Nanaki hesitated, caught off guard by the boy's reaction. The boy had the gun now. Nanaki had to do something fast, or the boy would shoot at Baz again. But before he could move, Lynn burst onto the scene. Lynn swung a mighty claw and sent the boy flying through the air. He hit the ground hard, limp and still. Nanaki turned away, horrified. But under the law of the forest, the boy had simply fought and lost.
This is the way of life here,
Nanaki told himself. Baz and Lynn began to circle the boy. They both reared up, pawed at the sky, and roared mightily.
Enough.
Nanaki leaped from the undergrowth to shield the boy from the bears. When their claws came down, instead of falling on the boy, they raked Nanaki's back instead, tearing deep wounds.
Cree! Cree!
They cried the same pitiful distress calls that they had the day they'd found their mother slain. They backed away, heads low.
I'm all right. Go.
The pair of Nibi bears scrambled away through the trees, almost tripping over themselves in their confusion. Beneath him, the boy groaned.
Now where'd he get to? Damn half-grown fledgling thinks he can take on anything.
That had to be the father. Nanaki slinked quietly back into the undergrowth.
Goaty! Damn it, boy! What are you playing at?
As the hunter ran up to his son, Nanaki was startled to see the man was not alone.
Sounded like a Nibi bear. Must have taken a swipe at him.
A young woman dressed in the uniform of the Turks took a vial from her pocket, a potion, perhaps, and knelt down to help the boy.
What is going on here?
Nanaki wondered.
Is Shimra still operating? What are their agents doing in this forest? I've been away from the human world for too long. What has been happening out there?
The hunter lifted the boy onto his back. As Nanaki watched them leave, he saw Elena take out her phone and make a call. My God.
We found at least one. We'll come back out tomorrow and try again.
When Nanaki returned to the clearing they had made home, he found Baz and Lynn pacing restlessly, but when they saw him, they ran into the trees.
I'm not angry,
he said, wearily flopping to the ground. He really wasn't, but the cuts on his back stung. He needed to rest and focus on healing. Tomorrow the Turk would be back. It sounded like she was after the Nibi bears. He would have work to do. He sensed Baz and Lynn coming near, but he kept quiet and closed his eyes. After a bit, he could feel them licking the wounds on his back, cleaning where he could not reach himself.
Thank you, Baz. Thank you, Lynn.
Nanaki woke in the middle of the night. The pain in his back had faded to a dull throb. He stood up, pleased with his own resilience. The two bears were nowhere to be seen. Usually they still slept within sight of him. A creeping unease came over him as he nosed through the undergrowth, looking for them. They were gone. Nibi bears were not nocturnal. It was strange for them to be active at this hour. He took to the forest to find them. He thought he heard a gunshot in the distance, somewhere outside the forest. His disquiet sharpened into real fear. His fur stood on end, and his legs began to shake. Suddenly, Gilligan was with him. He crouched down and trembled. It had been so long since the last bout, he had forgotten how to handle it.
What am I supposed to do again? Yes, Baz and Lynn. When I see them, the fear stops.
But they weren't there. Gritting his teeth, Nanaki forced himself to his feet and staggered toward the forest edge. With his eyes fixed on the ground in front of him, he willed his body onward. The change in the scents told him he had left the forest. He raised his head and saw the ground slope gently downward, covered in tall grass, except where the hunter's path wound through it. He followed the path with his eyes, and a long way off made out lights. A settlement. One light, the biggest of them all, danced and flickered. It was a fire. Nanaki supposed. A bonfire, maybe. He tried to focus on his senses, on the things his eyes and ears and nose took in, hoping Gilligan would go away. But it didn't work. He gathered his courage and stalked toward the light. It was just as he had feared. In the firelight he could see Baz and Lynn. They were hanging from a thick wooden beam strung off the ground with a rope tied around their front legs. Their tails had been severed. Huh! Suddenly a calm came over Nanaki. Gilligan was gone. Trying not to look at the bears, he surveyed his surroundings. There were 3 cabins, lights on in each of them, laughter coming from within, the voices of men and women celebrating something. There was no one on guard. Still, he kept from looking at where Baz and Lynn hung. Had the bears come out here to avenge their mother? He doubted that animals were capable of holding grudges. Nibi bears might well see humans as mortal enemies, but that was not a matter of individuals. Of the 2 species, it was only humans who indulged in revenge. Perhaps the forest had held more influence over him than he thought, because now that he was gone from it, Nanaki was feeling the same desire for vengeance growing in his own heart.
Cree.
One of the brothers cried weakly. Nanaki was startled.
It hurts,
Said that cry. Despite their size, they were still children. Suddenly, a blackness welled up inside him. It was not Gilligan this time, but a different kind of madness that devoured his reason all the same. Rather than fighting it, he let it grow. Inside one of the cabins, a baby cried. It was a message.
Listen, they have a baby. They're a family. Think about that baby. It has done nothing wrong. It is innocent and does not deserve your wrath. Nanaki, bite back on your anger. Keep it within.
In the narrow space in his heart where both human and animal lived, he was being torn asunder. A bullet thudded into the ground beside him, and at the same time he heard the sharp retort of the gun.
Fool.
He'd forgotten the danger, so all-consuming was his rage. He glanced over at Baz and Lynn. He had imagined the cry. He realized for both had clearly taken their last breaths some time ago. Between the half-closed lids he could see their bright red eyes gleaming, but it was only reflected firelight. It felt as if the flames were burning his own eyes, turning the whole scene crimson until he could see nothing at all. Another gunshot, another kick of dirt near his legs. He had pinpointed the source now. He charged towards the nearest cabin and crashed through the glass window. He landed inside in a low crouch, prepared to spring. Several men swung their weapons towards him.
It may have been human emotion that led me here, but now I crouch before these men as a wild beast.
Nanaki thought. He could not tell the humans apart. Their faces were all the same to him. A gunshot, and this time a sharp pain ripped his cheek. That was all he needed. Nanaki sprang at the nearest man. What happened after that was a blur. Later all he could remember was the pain of a bullet hitting his body and the scream of a boy.
I wanted to be your friend.
Oh. Nanaki opened his eyes. He was lying on a wooden floor that was smeared with blood. He lifted his head to look around. A man dressed in red sat in the corner looking at him. He knew the man.
Think you can stand?
Oh my god, Vincent! Vincent did not sound terribly concerned.
What are you doing here? I was going to ask you the same thing.
He said indifferently. Vincent didn't go into much detail, but Nanaki gathered that he had been on his own journey. Shrugging, Vincent said he had been waiting for something to happen when he noticed a Shinra helicopter flying overhead and decided to follow it to its destination, which turned out to be this hunter's settlement. When he arrived, the helicopter was parked outside, and Elena of the Turks was headed into the forest with the hunters, apparently in search of something. After a few hours, they had returned, carrying a wounded child with them. Then in the night, 2 Nibi bears wandered into the camp, and the hunters shot them down in great excitement. Having found whatever she came for, Elena left in the helicopter. Vincent had still been watching the village, wondering what Elena had been up to, when Inaki appeared. Then there were gunshots. Inaki leaped into the cabin, and Vincent figured he'd drop in and see what was happening.
You were on top of a hunter about to tear out his throat. The kid was screaming that you were his friend. What I saw wasn't the Nanaki I knew, but a rabid dog. So I shot you.
Oh my god, Vincent had then chased out the hunters before they could gather their wits and start shooting him.
I gave them a good scare in my other form.
Ah! After that, Vincent had treated the unconscious Nanaki's wounds and settled in to wait. Nanaki looked around the room at the blood splattered on the floor.
Did I kill anyone? No.
Oh good, I'm not late for my nightly bedtime story. Welcome, Zach. Sweet dreams. Nanaki thought, then nodded.
Good.
Nanaki lay still for a few moments while Vincent watched silently. Then he staggered to his feet to look outside.
They took the bears when they left. Should I have stopped them? No. They'll make use of them. It's the law of the forest. Or does it not count out here in the world of men? Vincent, I'm confused. I need someone to hear what happened. Talk to me.
Nanaki launched into his story, telling Vincent everything that befell him from the moment he first saw the boy and the Nibi bear, to waking in this cabin with Vincent in the corner.
What did I do wrong?
For a long moment, Vincent said nothing, just as Nanaki was starting to chide himself for expecting answers from the taciturn gunslinger. Vincent spoke.
Here's what I think. You don't have any answers now, but you will eventually. Thing is though, the answer's gonna keep changing as time passes. There's always more than one answer. You'll keep thinking about it all your life, and that's how it should be. The important thing is that you don't forget. Oh.
This wasn't enough for Nanaki. He felt adrift, somewhere between understanding and ignorance.
Alright, try this.
Vincent added as if he could see into Nanaki's mind.
You'll never be more wrong than when absolutely convinced you've got the right answer. So I'm doomed to never know what I was meant to do? No matter how much I reflect, I'll never find the right way? Bingo.
Vincent got to his feet, signaling an end to the conversation. You can always do nothing.
Is that Vince? That's Vincent, right?
Yeah.
You can always do nothing at all. I've made that choice before. Did it work? Maybe it did. At least, as atonement for my sins.
With a sweep of his cape, Vincent left the cabin. Nanaki scampered after him. Vincent started to head east, but then left the road and headed into the wilderness.
Where are you going?
Asked Nanaki.
Why do you want to know? Can I go with you? Why? Because I'm lonely, because I want company, because I don't want to be alone here on the edge of nowhere.
Nanaki thought as they walked along the bottom of the cliff, the height of a city office building.
Because of all the wrong reasons.
Vincent leaped up to the top of the cliff, as light as the air itself.
Vincent!
But the red cape had disappeared from view, and there was no reply.
Maybe you're the one who's wrong.
But even as he thought that, Nanaki realized something. There was no point in agonizing about what was the right choice, about what he should have done. He couldn't change the past, only the future that lay ahead. What mattered was that he remembered it and kept thinking about it. There was the only way to find an answer. What?
It's fucking dumb.
Oh, he couldn't change the past, only the future.
The future is a blank page after all.
What mattered was that he remembered it and kept thinking about it. That was the only way to find an answer, if there was one. If he did find one, it might help in some way, or it might not. It was a small thing overall, which, when set against the business of living and surviving each day as it came.
In the forest.
I know. I laughed too.
In the forest. None of these worries plagued me. Neither did Baz or Lynn worry.
They had all been happy there. Nanaki crouched down, tucking himself close against the cliff face, and thought back on his time in the forest. He remembered the cubs and how toy-like they looked in their sleep. He remembered how excited Baz became when spring first arrived. He remembered when Lynn fell out of the tree. He remembered the first time they caught fish, the taste of it, and lingering smell that the cubs could not lick off themselves, try as they might. Nanaki was laughing as tears fell uncontrollably down his cheeks.
Farewell, world of the wild creatures.
He stood and set out to the east, then after a while he changed his mind and headed north. In Rocket Town, Sid was busy working on a new airship, but when Inaki arrived with his half-healed wounds, Sid put down his wrench and set him up with warm food and a place to rest. As his wounds healed, Nanaki took to watching the engineers and workers scrambling over the nearly completed airship. He was startled to discover that he had spent 2 years in the forest with the Nibi bears. Wow.
Crazy.
Fucking top. Sid was surprised too. Just as Nanaki had lost himself in the forest, Sid had become consumed in his grand project, leaving no room to notice things like the passage of time. Sid told him that Barrett had stopped by too, not so long ago. Nanaki wished he could have seen his old friend. Just as Sid did, Barrett would have treated him the same as ever, he was sure. With the airship nearing completion, Sid was in a fine mood, and he invited Nanaki on board for a test flight. Nanaki gladly accepted.
No guarantees, nothing will go wrong, but we'll worry about that when it happens. Consider yourself warned, old buddy.
Sid joked.
We'll worry about that when it happens. Good words to remember.
Nanaki thought. Being in the Arrows made the world seem a much smaller place to Nanaki, so different from when he travelled with his own 4 feet squarely on the ground.
I need to thank Sid for granting me this experience.
Nanaki thought.
I have hundreds of years to spend in this little world. The process of life involves so many things of which I am still unknowing. I have much to see and much to learn. Down there on the surface, standing in such a vast world, it is perfectly normal to lose one's bearings. But from here, I can see it is not all that big. That it is possible to hold all of it in my mind.
The realization lifted his spirits. The world was not infinite after all.
It's as if the planet is waiting for me to discover it.
Nanaki murmured.
If you say so. Huh?
Sid interrupted himself.
Take a gander down there. What is it? 10 my hide if that ain't Yuffie. What's she doing all the way out here?
Nanaki would rather have put off seeing Yuffie again for a little while longer. He'd left her with a promise to find out more about the disease, but he'd done nothing of the sort. Still, as Sid landed the ship near her, he had to hide his reluctance and pretend to be excited to see her. Soon enough, Sid took off again, leaving Nanaki and Yuffie alone together. Yuffie immediately assumed command and announced that he would join her in her search for materia, but Nanaki's opinion on that hadn't changed. Although he'd first blurted it out just to spite her and her friend Yuri, he believed more than ever that there was no materia in the world that could cure the Midgar pox, which, he'd just learned in Rocket Town, was now being called geostigma. If proof were needed, he said to Yuffie, she only had to consider her own experience. She had been hunting 2 years for a materia cure, without uncovering anything except rumors.
If you couldn't find this miracle materia, then surely no one can. It simply doesn't exist.
Even as he told what he thought was the truth, he saw her distress and immediately regretted it.
But what do I know? Maybe it just needs 2 people searching. I'll help you look.
Nanaki promised. He went with Yuffie to a materia cave in the snowfields of the north, but they returned from the freezing cavern empty-handed.
Ah, fine. I'm convinced. There isn't any.
Such a weird voice.
Keep going.
I don't
That's what she sounds like.
Yeah, but you're a man.
Then, she groaned.
What?
She groaned. That's your line. That's your bit. That's what it says.
She groaned.
You're giving up? No, I'm gonna keep looking. They're counting on me. But you're convinced the materia doesn't exist. That was the last materia cave I knew about, but I could have missed something along the way, so I'll start over and search them all again. It hasn't been a total waste of time, by the way. I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I'm pretty sure I've got some things figured out.
Yuffie gazed into the distance. In between journeys, she had been teaching martial arts to the patients in Wutai. Just the children at first, but later the grown-ups too. They enjoyed getting exercise under Yuffie's instruction, if their condition allowed.
So, this is Yuffie. So, the sickness. I think it's got something to do with the live stream, but the thing is, not everyone catches it. It kind of, I don't know, gets into the cracks of your heart. Like, if you're depressed or in pain or if you've given up on life or something. But if you're doing things like if you're studying martial arts and moving around a lot, then you don't brood as much, right? You keep yourself busy all day, and then bam! At night, you just want to hit the sack. And you don't have time to overthink and make yourself all sad. It's kind of how I used to live before all this stuff went down. And I want to get back to that, too.
She turned to Nanaki with a grin.
What you think? I think you're onto something. I know, right?
Yuffie pounced and wrapped her arms around his neck, practically strangling him.
Hey, quit it. Say, you're pretty banged up. What have you been doing?
Nanaki considered his answer.
I've been trying to find things to remember.
Fuck. It was not something he'd planned, but he realized that over the course of his journey, he had thrown himself into the cycle of life and death and started living his days like he rarely had before. He was remembering things. He was gaining an understanding of things he would never have had by merely observing. The wounds on his body, and yes, his heart, were the proof of his lessons.
Oh, please. You're always trying to make everything you do sound so noble and important.
Yuffie squeezed him again, more carefully this time.
Let's both give it our all, Nanaki.
After that, Nanaki returned to his journey and, in the fullness of time, visited nearly every corner of the world. When he encountered wild animals, he wondered if he might live alongside them. When he met humans, he made an effort to engage and talk with them. He felt he could come close to learning how the world truly was, regardless of what was deemed right or wrong, from these interactions. Within him, many new names came to be. Sparkle, Dolly, Thief, Shellfish, Spider Stream, Puppy Love, Screaming Trees. Everything had a name bestowed by the wisdom of experience. Sometimes those experiences were precious, and sometimes they were painful. Only one thing troubled him during these full, busy days, and that was the return of Gilligan. The more time he spent alone, the more the darkness seemed to grow inside him. It seemed that as he learned more and as he acquired more experience, the more he had to lose, and it was this that made Gilligan grow. But if Gilligan was nothing more than the fear of loss, why was he still afraid of it? If he knew its true nature, why did he still collapse to his knees and tremble in terror when it came? Why did it take longer and longer to recover each time? After a time, he concluded that he must be mistaken about its nature. He considered again what Gilligan might be. It was something that struck a blood-chilling terror in him. That much was certain. He simply did not understand what it was that terrified him so.
Gilligan.
Vincent said under his breath after hearing Nanaki's tale again, this time beside the spring in the Forgotten City.
I might have an idea. Then tell me,
said Nanaki, seizing on the promise of an answer.
Loss will come someday, and you will grieve. The thought of that terrifies you. Thing is, you'll get used to it eventually, even if you don't think you ever could. Perhaps Gilligan is from a future that you don't even know enough to fear. I don't follow. Try this. Imagine a time when all the people who know you, all the things you've given names to, everything you care for exists nowhere but inside you, where there's no one else to share them with. I'll try.
Nanaki imagined it, and as soon as the idea started to take form in his mind, Gilligan awoke inside him. He tried to quell his trembling and stay focused. He imagined bounding up a steep hill that overlooked Midgar, reaching the top with a powerful leap, and, beyond the rise, seeing a ruined city grown over in thick foliage, buried under plants he could not name. People still lived there, but no one he knew. He went down and talked to them. Someone might listen. If he went down and talked to them, someone might listen. Intrigued and impressed by the tales he had to tell, but no one would reply. Yes.
I remember those days. I'll be alone.
He whispered with a shudder.
I'll outlive everyone I know. I'm afraid of how lonely I'll feel. Is that Gilligan? That fear? I'd call it giving up on the game before you even played it through. Who's giving up?
Nanaki snarled. Vincent only snorted at his anger.
You ever try imagining a brighter future? One where you aren't alone. Hell, maybe one where you have kids. Kids? Me? Closest I've ever come was a pair of Nibi bears. Alright then, how about this? Once every year, you come to Midgar. I'll meet you here, listen to your dumb stories, and look completely uninterested.
Nanaki tried imagining that very scene. Vincent's apathetic face was right in front of him now. His trembling stopped. Gilligan was leaving.
You've stopped shaking. Yes, but Vincent, someday even you will. Nope, not me. I don't age and I don't die. It's a mixed blessing.
What, did they tell us that in the game?
I
did not know that Vincent was immortal.
I don't know if they tell you he's immortal in the game. I feel like they might allude to it.
I don't remember being told that anyway.
Him and Lucrezia are sort of like polar opposites in that both of them are destined to stay put forever, but Vincent decides to go out and take on the world with Cloud and everybody, whereas Lucrezia doesn't have that choice. She's stuck in that cave in the crystal forever, whereas although Vincent is forever stuck, he has the choice to leave, so he left with Cloud.
When I saw Lucrezia, I thought that was a ghost. I didn't think she was really there, but stuck. I guess a bit like a ghost, like a hologram almost.
No, she is really there.
Oh, she really is there. Okay. Okay. Nanaki thought of the loneliness Vincent would have to endure. Nanaki's kind had a long lifespan, but he would die one day. Measured against immortality, his life was but a blink of an eye.
Well, alright. I'll come visit you as often as I can.
Vincent watched Nanaki with a complicated expression and finally said,
Let's keep it to once a year. Don't ask me for more than that. Why not? You're annoying.
Vincent looked away, hiding his face in the collar of his cape, and there was a slight tremble in his shoulders. Was Vincent actually chuckling?
Gilligan. Really, Gilligan? Laugh if you want. Don't mind if I do.
Vincent laughed aloud. Nanaki tried to look stern, but in the end he couldn't help himself. He had to join in. For the first time since the age of the Cetra, the Forgotten City rang with laughter.
It's so good!
I really... Oh...
Nanaki really went and had a vision of tomorrow if we failed here today.
Stop! It's not funny. I feel emotional.
Ah, it's
That was
really
really
good.
good.
It's so good.
That... Oh...
I love what they do for Vincent there too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I feel like I like
Vincent's
Vincent more now.
So well characterized.
Like, he
in
just has
a
such
few
a good...
lines.
Yeah. He really had a good moment there. I don't think in the game there is like loads and loads to Vincent.
No,
you don't
he's-
get a lot
well,
to do
yeah,
with him.
He's an optional character.
Yeah.
He's got a cool story and like it's interesting, but they can't do much with him.
No,
I think,
they don't do a lot
I think
with it.
I think you'd probably feel the same way about Yuffie if it wasn't for the fact that
Yeah.
Yuffie had intermission.
Yeah, I had
in Kingdom
intermission.
Hearts. So like you're familiar.
Kingdom
with
Hearts
Yuffie.
is literally not.
No, but you're
not part of
familiar
it.
with Yuffie.
Oh, yeah, but
Like, when you
not
played-
even from Kingdom Hearts.
No, but like when you played intermission, you didn't think, oh, who's this? You were like, oh, I know Yuffie.
No, I knew of her, but I did
You
not
know
know her.
of
I
her.
did not. I'm telling you.
You're telling me you didn't recognize her.
No, I knew who Yuffie was, but I don't think I knew why. I think I maybe
Wait, really?
vaguely. I think I vaguely knew her
crazy.
from Kingdom Hearts, but I don't remember a single word she says in that game. All I knew is like, this is Yuffie, but I've
does
never.
that.
I felt like I'd never met her
She does
before.
that bit with Sora where she mocks Leon.
Oh really? Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
What ones is she in?
Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and Remind.
Fuck. Because I played 1 and 2 already. So I don't know. I didn't care about her then. Or even understand
Yeah,
like
it's gonna
who
be
she
cool
was.
to replay them, especially after having played as well, like all of the games with this Final Fantasy characters in.
Yeah. What other ones are there?
Obviously, there's Leon, and I'm trying to think who else. Like, there's some Final Fantasy 8 characters. There's like characters from 9, like Vivi and KH2.
Yeah, I
There's
know
Setsa.
Vivi's there.
Setsa plays in the struggle. He's like the champion of the struggle. Setsa's from
Oh,
Final
I don't think I even knew that he was.
Fantasy 6.
he
And then
was-
obviously there's Aerith, Tifa, Cloud, Sephiroth. Is there any other Final Fantasy 7 characters in Kingdom Hearts, or is that it? Sid, obviously.
Okay.
Sid with his toothpick instead of a cigarette, because it's a kid's game.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, it is in it with a toothpick. You're right. Hey Mario,
Hey,
how are
Mario, what's
you?
up? There's characters from 10. Oh yeah, there is. Waka and Tidus?
Titus.
I don't know how you say
I think
that.
it's Titus.
And then also
I
Selfie
don't
from
think I've
8
ever
is
heard
on
it.
Destiny Islands too.
Oh yeah.
And then there's
Oh, there's the little kid.
there's Cypher and
Who's the little kid when you're on the island? There's another
I just
one.
named them. There's 3. What?
Who are they?
Waka, Tidus, and
Oh, Titus is there.
Selfie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Auron as well. Yeah, Auron. From I think he's from 10, right?
Final Fantasy X fans will kill you depending on how you pronounce it. Which is it? Not Titus.
I don't know.
It's I've already committed it to brain. It's Titus.
There's 10-2 characters.
I hope
in
that's not
KH2.
the wrong one.
Is that are those are the like the fairies, the pixie things, Riku, and the other 2.
There's so many. See, I don't really take much notice of them because I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
So, like, because I think I played Kingdom Hearts before I played literally any Final Fantasy game. So I didn't take notice of literally any of them. None of them meant anything to me,
yeah. And
other
you
than
got,
what they
like-
were in the game.
You're like, oh, Zack as well in Birth by Sleep.
Zack Fair!
Yeah, he meets Aqua. He's in Olympus.
Zack? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's that. Livestream white, please, sir. Number 2.
Oh, we need Aerith
Ding,
theme.
ding, 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 ding. I think I've had enough of that theme, and I never thought I'd say that before, but it was on repeat, and it repeated
Okay, search
so many times.
Search Aerith's theme. Let's get that.
Aerith's theme. There you go.
Building your business on
Such a good theme. Wow. Building your business online.
God, the fact that you don't have fucking YouTube Premium.
I just don't feel like we should both pay for it when it's already kind of
Okay.
expensive.
Go on then, you can read this one.
She discovered there were many more spirits than before who resisted merging into the life stream's eternal flow. They were not like him, but she sensed the same hate, the same anger in them that led him to reject the planet and its life stream. She believed this was due to the influence he exerted in the living world. Whenever such souls entered the life stream, she tried to relieve them of their anger. Beneath the spite and rage would be the memories of an ordinary man or woman, memories with a common person's share of hardships, to be sure, but not devoid of joys great and small. She contrived to free those memories so they could move on and melt into the stream, and soon enough, the empty shell of hate that remained would dissolve too. She was pleased that she could help these souls, but she encountered more and more of them as time went on, and she found that she alone was not enough. She dove into the current and rushed from here to there, seeking out spirits to help her. Other ancients not yet dispersed. The fading shards of their consciousness responded to her call. Heartbreakingly few, though they were, she infused them with her memories and gained their help. Still, it wasn't enough. The pollution was spreading, gaining the upper hand. She thought of Cloud, living on the planet's surface in the corporate world. The
corporate world. Living in the corporate world.
The corporate. It's true though.
Classic Cloud living.
We
in the
live in a corporate world.
I mean, it's true. He started his own business. He is living in the corporate world now. He's the CEO of Strife Delivery Service.
Oh no, Flash has eaten something that's caused him an allergic reaction.
No. He's all he's done is just eaten a shit ton of fucking gummies.
You're so weird, Flash.
I once lived in a corporate world. Alright.
Just a small town boy living in a corporate world.
Like 5 packs, dude, you're gonna die.
That is disgusting, Flash. She thought of Cloud living on the planet's surface in the corporeal world. If she wanted to curtail the torrent of anger flowing into the life stream, she would have to stop it at the source, up there on the ground among the living.
Source.
Cloud will help
everything.
me. I know he will, but I also know it will end up hurting him. The Cloud she knew had a heart so very easily wounded. Alright, now we're on to Yuffie! I love Yuffie's theme so much. I'm gonna play Stealing Materia as well at some point when it becomes relevant. Wait, let's listen to the remake one actually.
Really?
Well, no, I just mean I want to listen to it first for a second.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning. I can't hear it, but it's probably good.
It's just warming up. I'm waiting for it to get real good. We're getting there. It's so good.
What do we do now? Are we starting or what are we doing? Listen to this one? What's going on?
Sorry. Yeah. Oh god, it's the original. Hurry up.
Everyone can hear the music, right? I didn't check at the beginning of the stream. But sometimes Alva has it set to like the wrong setting, and so like she can hear it, but nobody else can. Yes? Okay, good.
True.
Good.
The Forgotten City. After Aerith died, they had laid her to rest there in the small spring, so when Yuffie, Cloud, and the others finally defeated Sephiroth, it seemed only natural that they return there to tell her the news. They stood together at the edge of the water. No one spoke aloud. Instead, each told Aerith their own tale, in their own silent words.
See you.
Said Vince in his deep growl. Yuffie turned to see only a flutter of a red cape. He was already leaving. Seriously? Just like that? You're bailing on all of us?
Hey,
I like voicing
wait just a
Yuffie.
minute.
She ran after him.
What kind of goodbye is that? I thought we were friends.
Vincent didn't turn or even break stride. Yuffie dashed ahead and planted herself in front of him, glaring up at him. But his gaze seemed fixed on some point far in the distance. She couldn't tell what he might be thinking, only that some powerful emotion had him in his grip. In its grip. In that moment, she understood that she had no means to stop him.
Look after yourself, kid.
He said as he swept past her. Yuffie blinked at the unexpected kindness she heard in his voice, then smiled. So he did care, at least a little bit. She could leave it at that. Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, Sid, and Red 13 watched it unfold. I guess he's got to be some shit.
I guess he's got somewhere to be.
Yuffie reported to them.
I reckon Mystery Man's got a girl hidden away somewhere. He's itching to see. Speaking of, it's time I took off myself.
Said Sid.
Yeah, me too.
Barrett agreed. Everyone else... Oh, you have to read
Everyone else has people they want to see.
Thought Yuffie.
What's wrong with that? Nothing.
Still, she couldn't help but protest.
So just like that, huh? Oh shit! If we all get desperate for each other's company, we know where to find everyone.
Sid was turning to go as he said it. Cloud and Tifa shrugged. Red 13 looked at the others and nodded in agreement.
Red's just pretending he doesn't care. I guess so.
Yuffie mumbled. It still didn't sit right with her, but in the end, what could she do?
Guess we'll go too.
Cloud and Tifa started walking away.
Darn it. This is goodbye for real.
Thought Yuffie.
Fine. If that's what they want, I can play along. I'll do my fond farewell and then...
But before she could say anything, Barrett shouted.
Crap! I almost forgot! Sheesh, way to butt in. Just like usual. He thinks he's like a boss or something, but he isn't.
As she glared at him, Barrett removed some materia from his gun arm and gave it to Cloud.
What is this for?
Said Cloud.
Hey!
Cried Yuffie, louder than she meant to as she realized she'd forgotten the important part, the whole reason she joined this quest.
If you're giving away materia, can I have it? Or, half of it? Or something? I'll take it back to Wudai to keep it safe. I'd hardly use any of it.
The others all looked at her, eyebrows raised. She generally liked to be the center of attention, but this was different. She kept talking to cover up her embarrassment.
Thing is, I was already on a quest for materia when I ran into you guys, and I kind of joined because it looked like you had lots spare and stuff, and you could help me find more. And some of the stuff you have is kind of rare, so if you've got extras, I mean...
Combining cutting-edge technology developed by Shinra and arcane lore passed on by wise figures who studied the life of the planet, materia was infused with power beyond anything found in nature.
And I didn't know anything about what you guys were up to or where you came from. I kind of still don't, in fact. But I thought besides you all... But I fought beside you all the way, right? I mean, it wasn't about the materia in the end. I just wanted to help. You guys are my friends, and now it's all over. I mean, come on. How many times have I saved your butts?
What would be the real-world equivalent of materia?
Dollar bills.
Money. Or, crystals.
Crystals.
She's super into, like, witchy stuff.
Batteries. Bullets. I don't know.
Batteries.
It's weird that Kate Sith's not here.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the fact that Square had the opportunity to have Kate Sith stand by Aerith's grave and not say something quippy is really odd, and that they didn't take that opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm Kate Sith number 3! How is everyone doing? Everyone's just somber looking around because it's Aerith's grave.
I told her his mother she was dead.
Hey Aerith! I told your mom you're dead! It's not even his accent.
It's the one I gave him and now you've adopted it. Even as she was saying it, she was doing a mental count and realizing the answer was 0.
Whoops. It would have been way harder without you.
Said Tifa. That caught her off guard.
Huh? You're strong and bright and cheerful? Just like how I wish I could be.
Aww.
What?
Stunned, Yuffie didn't know what to say. Tifa smiled quietly at her.
Wait, do you really mean that?
Mm-hmm. Tifa nodded firmly.
Thanks.
Even as she tried not to blush, Yuffie started thinking.
Hey ho, maybe I'm gonna get lucky with the in here. What do you think, Barrett?
Us, Cloud. Wait, why?
Wait, why do you want a second opinion from him?
Which line was cool line?
What?
Oh, like just Tifa saying just like how I wish I could be? Maybe? So I think
that
that's a
wasn't
good line,
that
but
recent of a comment, was it? Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh.
yeah. Well, I guess because
Oh.
now we learned so much about our insecurity,
Ah,
so
true,
it kind of
true,
is
true,
an
true,
interesting
true.
bit. Yeah, good shout, Flush. Maybe I'm gonna get Barrett. Yuffie thought, but she stayed quiet and tried to keep smiling.
Yuffie's
Barrett
been
grunted.
good. Yuffie's been good to have along. Ain't gonna deny that. But this materia, that's a whole other thing.
They're all teasing her.
It is not. It's totally related. Maybe we're done fighting Sephiroth, but I've got big ideas for rebuilding Wutai. It's my dream, and I need materia for it. Rebuilding? Bye, you a little lonesome?
That was Sid. Yuffie glared at him.
Oh, these old guys need to stop butting in. Speaking of, Midgar's having a hell of a time right now.
You can transition smoothly
that
there.
was
He continued.
Yeah, it is.
Cloud thought for a moment.
Alright, Yuffie. How about this? We'll give you the materia. Yes!
A mental fist pump.
But I'm gonna hold on to half of it for safekeeping. What? Hey! No,
No
fair!
fair! Victory snatched from her grasp. Yuffie prepared for another round of protests.
Listen, a lot of our materia is for fighting. It's not going to help you or anyone rebuild a town. I'll let you have the healing materia, but I'll hang on to the rest. Out of all of us, I'm the one who's most used to handling the dangerous stuff. Okay, I guess I don't need a huge arsenal, right? But it'd be better to have some, you know, just in case, I don't know, in case monsters attack.
Yuffie wasn't giving up yet.
Tell you what, when you get back to Wutai, if you find you really need some attack materia, feel safe.
To feel safe.
If you
yeah.
find you really need some attack materia to feel safe, give us a call. We could work something out.
Cloud sounded convincing, but Yuffie was pretty darn sure he was hidebound on keeping the materia for himself.
But I guess a stash brimming with the power to wreak total havoc wouldn't actually do much for Wutai. Not now. It's not like before when we had all those desperate battles to fight. Fine, I guess, but you better take good care of my stuff, okay, Cloud? Or you'll be seriously in big trouble.
You'll be in seriously big trouble.
So there you have it. I'm the owner of the world's largest materia arsenal.
Yuffie had a captive audience in the form of the chocobo she was riding home to Wutai.
You think maybe I should get a change of clothes somewhere? I mean, these are falling apart after all that adventuring.
She had to look smart for all the people who would surely rush to the gates to welcome her back. Everyone must have heard by now that the fall of the meteor had been averted thanks to her and a few others. Obviously, they would demand to hear stories of her daring feats.
On the other hand, maybe I should stick with the rags. Then everyone will see how hard I fought. Yeah, that'd be more impressive. Anyway, I don't have time for shopping. I need to practice describing how awesome we are.
Oh, I cannot fucking wait for Yuffie to interact with the remake characters. I cannot wait to
Yeah,
hear
it's
the
gonna be
voice
really
actors.
good.
Oh,
It's gonna be so great.
so
I
excited!
also like how this scene is very similar to the final scene in Intermission where she's on the chocobo.
Yeah, and she's
talking
having
to the
and
chocobo.
yeah. That's it's immediately what I thought, but it's completely
Yeah.
different though because she's with them here, whereas in Intermission she hasn't met them yet.
Yeah.
So, I don't care what Rebirth is about. I do not. I don't care if it is not actually.
Does she know?
Does she know me right now? She does know. Well, she doesn't really, but like I don't care. I don't care because honestly, wait, look, that's this picture in that. It's the one in
Oh
here.
yeah, so it is. Yeah. That's her Advent Children outfit.
Spoilers. I'm not looking.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, I don't care because no matter what, I know I'm gonna enjoy it. But I know what you're gonna say.
Rebirth?
Yeah. No.
Does
Because
she know?
because I'm gonna separate the remakes
Yeah, you are.
from
Yeah, I'm sure you
the
are.
original
Yeah.
because the original is open and shut for me. This I will.
Oh, it's not for Square Enix. Oh, no.
Why did you dodge so far?
The future is a blank page for Square Enix. In fact, the original's a blank page for Square Enix.
Is that what she wears in KH2?
Yeah, she does. Yeah. They
What?
wear the Advent Children outfit in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Do they? Wait, who else is in it?
Cloud.
Cloud's in
Tifa.
it? Tifa? Yeah, I do remember Cloud and Tifa in it. I
Tifa
do
comes
remember
in and
that
kicks the
actually.
bookcases in,
Do you know? I do remember that because I
Anson's
played
office.
remake. I played remake, but not Intermission.
Yeah.
Listen, I might. I don't think I'm gonna regret this because to me the remakes are different.
Regret this.
regret saying this.
Oh,
Like, I'm not going to be like,
no,
oh, I
you
was
see-
so dumb.
You say that, and I said the exact same thing.
No, I'm different.
And then I realised the truth of the matter, and I was like, no,
No,
shit.
but like I said,
You can't
they're
separate
different.
them.
The
They're not.
OG and the remake can be different.
Okay, yes, but it's not. But it's not just different. It's
Fine. I understand. Like for example, if they plan on not killing Aerith off, like yeah, I guess that's a bit shit. But it's not what really happened in my head. The OG is one thing. The 7 is literally it's like an Into the Spider-Verse. You know, it's like
It's not.
It's just like a whole alternate.
No, it's like a No Way Home, actually.
That's fine.
But if it was bad,
I really like remake. I'm gonna like. Oh, I'm just knowing the OG.
do you know
and
what
then,
it's like?
Oh,
Do you know what it's like? It's No Way
Rebirth.
Home.
So
It's
excited.
like No Way Home, but if when Tobey Maguire and Doc Ock went back to their own universe, they just stayed like that, and they just like it completely changed Spider-Man 2, and you don't get that meaningful ending with Doc
Yeah,
Ock
and that
where,
is annoying.
Where Tobey Maguire changes him and fixes him just using words, like stuff that he quoted him earlier in the movie, and like he manages to redeem him, and then he saves the world. Like, by taking control of the arms, doing the right thing.
Yeah, okay, I can see why that's a problem, but that's just not what it is. Like, just don't, just, like, I know it's annoying, and
If
you
you-
can't,
if you
not
have
everyone's
to-
going to be able
if
to
you-
ignore it, but I think I can
If
just
you
be like,
have
it's
to
fine.
pretend that it's not real for it to be good, it's not
But
good.
the remakes aren't installments they're remakes, they're different.
Does she know? This is gonna be so
Let's
fun.
let's carry
I love
on.
this.
I
I
just
love
can't.
this.
Anyway, all I was saying, going back to what I was saying, is I just can't wait to see like the remake Cloud being all playful and Barrett and Cloud teasing her at some point.
Yeah, there'll be some good stuff. 'Cause the thing with remake is when it's focusing on being a remake, it's really good, and there's so many good moments. Like the characters are written really well.
Yeah, I think they are.
And they're like the interactions are exactly as they should be. Like it feels like Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
When it's not doing that, it's fucking terrible.
No.
But those don't last very long because you know the whispers will show up and Barrett will be
Yeah.
like, "What happened?" Anyway, let's do the plot of Final Fantasy VII. Right. Okay. Let's go.
On the other hand, maybe I should stick with Rise. But then Yuffie realized she only knew about the bits she had been involved in. She never thought to ask about the course of events that had brought the world to the brink of destruction. Crap.
Crap.
How did it all get started exactly? Whose fault was it that the world got hit by an almost apocalypse? There was quite a lot she had missed, joining the quest in the middle.
I really should have cornered somebody and pumped them for details. Well, whatever. It's not like somebody back home knows anything. I'll just patch something together. Sephiroth was a member of Soldier working for the evil Shimmer Electric Power Company, and then he came up with something even more evil.
Yeah, true.
Cloud and the others were chasing him and fighting Shimmer at the same time. Then the royal pain in the butt Sephiroth cast some sort of uber magic called Meteor and made the asteroid crash into the planet. So we risked our lives in a massively heroic battle to stop him. Perfect. That about sums it up.
She's not wrong. Like, that's pretty decent.
That's what Jamie thinks the plot of the game is.
Yuffie did not know that the news of recent events had already reached Wutai and people were aware of what happened, except for certain parts of the story, such as, for example, the contribution of Yuffie and her friends.
It is like 8, yeah. But I literally said that during the 8 stream. I was like, 8 is a lot like Remake, so fuck you. Aha!
Wutai came into sight. She had passed by it a few times during her recent adventures. Quite a few if you're flying around, you're just going zoom, 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 zoom. Her quest was over, and this was a proper homecoming. Yuffie leaned forward on her chocobo and gazed over her home from afar, or alternatively, she leaned back on the chocobo, like an intermission.
Huh? What the...
She rubbed her cheeks with her sleeve, wiping away sudden tears.
What the heck am I crying for?
It was early morning when Yuffie arrived at Wutai proper. She unbridled the chocobo and sent it off with a slap on its rump. No, I bet she also said she was never going to dismount. She kept her head down as she scurried through the streets. She wasn't quite ready to let people know she was here yet. She ran straight for the house where her father, Goda, ought to be, thinking that while her tattered wardrobe would be more evocative when telling her amazing story, she might at least wash her face.
Fuck.
Godo was in the entryway, hammering at a post with a wooden mallet.
Guess who?
Said Yuffie, an expectant grin on her face. Godo turned to face her.
Yep, it's me. Back from my adventure. We did it.
Goda nodded gravely.
I'm glad to see you home and safe. And I hope you're done with your little excursions for a while, because our town is in trouble, and everyone has had to pitch in to help. Wutai needs the strength of its young people.
With that, he shouldered what appeared to be a bag of carpentry tools and set out for the center of town.
Hey, hold up!
Yuffie rushed after him. He was walking briskly, apparently in a hurry.
Don't you want to know all about my adventures? What about my grand welcome? Where is everyone?
As she trotted along, trying to keep up, she gave a breathless and drastically abridged account of her adventures with her friends, and how they had called upon the life stream to save the planet from certain doom. Godo stopped short and gave her a dubious stare.
That sounds most exciting, to be sure. But no, we've had no news of your whereabouts. All we heard was that there was a quarrel between those idiots at Shinra and a soldier fighter who lost his mind, and the entire world was plunged into chaos because of it. Finally, the cosmos grew angry and decided to put a stop to the squabble by sending Meteor to smash the planet. But the planet fought back by releasing the life stream to destroy Meteor. As for you and your friends, no one's mentioned you.
Fuck you! He told her quite serious.
The cosmos decided? That doesn't even make sense. Who told you that? Well, that bit was my own interpretation, based on the events. Perhaps the truth of it lies somewhere else, but what does it really matter?
He gave her a look.
Yuffie, if I were you, I wouldn't go around telling people you were involved, whether it's true or not. The live stream affected us badly here. There's a lot of anger. People are looking for scapegoats to blame for starting the whole mess in the first place. You gotta be kidding me!
In her frustration, Yuffie fired off a series of rapid punches at the air. Yeah! Yeah, let's go!
You won't get sick of that.
What's that supposed to
I hope
fucking
you'll
mean?
channel that abundant energy of yours and use it for the good of our town. So what's the problem anyway? What do you need my help for?
She pouted, finally looking around. She hadn't noticed when she first arrived, but many of the buildings were damaged, some more heavily than others. The red roof of the training hall that had stood for generations had partially caved in, and most of its tiles lay smashed on the ground. Staring at the rubble, Yuffie began to feel uneasy.
What happened? Wutai was in the live stream's path. It was a terrible night. Every building in town creaked and groaned. I'm sure Midgar had a worse time of it, but the buildings here are old. There's more damage than what we can see from the outside. There are cracked pillars, broken
Are
beams.
you okay? Cracked pillar.
There are cracked pillars, broken beams, slumping walls. Even the building that looked untouched could collapse at any moment. So I'm using this mallet to... Yuffie, are you listening?
She was peering at the people working on the buildings, shoring up walls and repairing beams. Quite a lot of them were bruised and bandaged.
Is everyone okay? Did people get hurt? Many of us did, but thankfully, few were badly injured. But some were? Yes. I'm sorry to say, not everyone has recovered, and there is little you can do. You or I can do for them. Buildings, on the other hand...
Oh, I just realised I should have been playing Stealing Materia during that whole teasing bit. Damn it. Anyway.
Godo was holding
Get-
out a second mallet.
Godo was holding out a second mallet he'd fished from his toolkit.
You say we can't help the injured, but you're wrong about that.
Yuffie took a healing materia from her bag and held it up to her father.
Oh?
Godo warily narrowed his eyes.
Now what else have you got in that bag of
Excuse
yours?
me?
Just more of the same. I was gonna bring back a whole bunch of different materia, but, well, you know, the fighting stuff is kinda dangerous, and I figure it's best not to keep it lying around near people's homes, right? Indeed. Very wise of you.
Godo took stock of the red roof training hall.
It's going to take some doing, but we should be able to get the roof back on.
Then he bellowed at a group of people working nearby.
Ho there, all of you. Come lend a hand. We need to fix this roof and make it a hospital.
Her days as a materia hunter were over for now, but Yuffie was embarking on a new career as a healer. Everyone who came to see her left grateful for her help. This is so wholesome. It's funny because you also say that she makes a good healer in the game.
Yeah, she does.
This is great. She still longed to tell someone about her exploits saving the planet, but seeing how the livestream had ravaged her hometown, she realized that the gratitude of her patients was perhaps more important than singing her own praises. Some people's injuries were so severe that not even her materia could help them, at least not in one go. But with patience and care, she was able to make even the most badly affected people whole again. If only she had more spiritual strength, she thought. Then the healing magic would be that much more powerful. At its essence, materia was crystallized life stream, and since crystals were very stable, it took a push to force the power out, a sort of harmonic vibration that was driven by the spiritual energy of the spellcaster. It was draining work, and having to use the materia all day exacted a toll on her psyche. At the end of every evening, Yuffie would be unbearably fatigued and barely able to keep her eyes open. She would take down her handmade Yuffie's Clinic sign and collapse into bed in a bid to get enough sleep to recover her strength for the next day of treatments. So maybe tomorrow she would take a day off, she thought. Go find some ether or something. Right. Even when she was with Cloud Sponge, they also had put their quest on hold when they ran out of ether.
Funk, funk, bang, bang.
Someone was making a terrible racket.
Well, that's Yuffie. Leave me
What do you
alone!
think that was the
Lydia. I'm trying to sleep.
Yuffie goes, ugh. Yuffie shouted, but then she sat up. What if it was someone coming to her with an emergency?
Funk, funk, bang, bang.
But it was too loud for someone to be just knocking. This sounded more like, like hammering.
That should do it. You just sit tight for a while.
It was her father's voice.
Huh?
Yuffie darted to the door, but when she tried to open it, it didn't budge.
Hey, Dad, what did you do? The door won't open. I nailed it shut. Now I want you to ask yourself why. How dare you keep something like that to yourself? Stay in there and think about what you've done.
Yuffie had no idea what could have warranted her being boarded into her own room for a bout of self-reflection. Was she inadvertently rude to someone? Cast the wrong materia spell on a patient?
Dad!
No one answered.
Hello? Anybody?
Her voice sounded scared and lonely, but then she realized that even more than being scared, she was tired. Her bed beckoned.
Stupid old idiot. Once I've had some sleep, you're gonna pay.
Wham! It sounded like someone kicking in the wall. Yuffie opened her eyes. She felt marginally better. At least it felt like she'd gotten a few hours sleep this time.
Now what? Yuffie, you dumbass? Yuffie, you dumbass?
The voice of a young woman, maybe the same age as herself, but no one she knew. Why was someone she didn't even know calling her a dumbass? This was all becoming way too much. Yuffie was getting mad.
Dumbass yourself. What did I do? Yuri's mom is sick because of you. Sick? How is that my fault? You brought the sickness from Midgar. I don't even know what you're talking about.
But there was no reply. Instead, she could hear grown-ups' low scolding.
Great, I bet they're telling her not to talk to me.
Yuffie thought.
Wonk.
From time to time, something hit the wall. People were throwing stones at the training hall. And this was one of Wutai's finest buildings, the pride of the town.
They hate me enough to throw things at the training hall and knock chips out of the wall.
Yuffie thought, and a lump rose in her throat.
What did I do?
She kept repeating the question to herself until the first of the morning light started seeping in through the cracks in the wall.
Yuffie! Hey, Yuffie, you still in there?
You.
What kind of question is that?
Yuffie thought. But the voice really did have concern in it. She crept over to the wall.
Who wants to know? I'm Yuri. You probably don't remember me. We used to hang out when we were little.
Just another voice she didn't know, and she couldn't think of what this supposed childhood friend looked like either. She could recall hearing this name, though.
Yuri's mom's sick because of you.
It must be that Yuri.
How's your mom? She's sick, right? Someone said it was my fault. She's not doing so good. No one knows what's causing it. There's black gunk oozing out of her ears, and she's in a lot of pain. It hurts just to look at her. Oh, that sounds awful.
Yuffie hung her head as she tried not to imagine the gruesome disease.
It is, but I don't think it's your fault. Huh?
She perked up at that.
Just hold on. I'm going to get you out of there. Creak, creak.
She could hear what sounded like nail planks of the wood being pulled off with a crowbar. Then the door opened, and a young, handsome boy with a slender nose and long hair tied back in a ponytail appeared in the doorway.
There we go. Thanks.
She still didn't remember this supposed childhood friend, but he didn't have to know that.
Yuri, it's good to see you. Oh, you do remember me. Of course, I do.
She felt that's perfect. She felt a bit guilty about lying, but she needed allies right now, which meant Yuri and nobody else in the world practically.
Uh-oh, there's your dad and the others. We better get out of here.
Yuri held out his hand, and Yuffie grabbed it before she had time to ask herself why she was letting him take the lead. He pulled her from the training hall, and they ran as fast as they could, hands still clasped.
Yuffie, stop! Gods be damned! Yuri, do you want more people to get sick?
With her father's voice fading behind them, the pair ran out of the town and into the countryside. She immediately started to feel better. She was totally fed up with being bossed around by her old man. Still, Yuffie and Yuri ran hand in hand the whole way. They kept going until no one was following them anymore. Then Yuri suddenly stopped short so quickly she couldn't help but bump into him.
This way.
Yuri set off in a new direction. Immediately, Yuffie realized why he'd stopped so suddenly. A monster was up ahead, hissing angrily. For someone like her with plenty of experience fighting monsters, it didn't pose much of a threat, except for the poison. Yuffie let go of Yuri's hand and prepared for combat. She didn't have a weapon on her, but her fists would do.
Yuffie, it's poisonous. I know.
Then, quite out of the blue, Yuffie was struck by a powerful sense of deja vu.
Of course. Now I remember Yuri.
She recalled a time when they had been playing by it's DeChao, isn't it?
Ciao.
DeChao statues, and some oversized furry bugs came flying at them. After describing it in detail the way they could hurt them, Yuri promptly ran away. Yuffie didn't. She got stung several times and couldn't get out of bed for 3 days.
I've got materia to deal with the poison.
Whoosh! The monster sprang at her just as Yuffie was about to bat it to the ground. A compact knife flew through the air and pierced the monster through. It fell twitching, and then it was still twitching. Yuffie stared at Yuri as he retrieved his knife and slid it into a sheath. Is that how they're spelled? Sheath.
No, I think it's sheath.
Because it's a sheath, right? What's a sheath?
I don't know, same thing.
Into a sheath strapped to his forearm. Now that they had stopped running, she could see that he was outfitted for adventure. Traveling clothes, sturdy boots, bracers, and other bits of armor.
He used to call me Scaredy Cat, remember? But I'm not a little kid anymore. You did try to run away at first. Wait, whose is that?
The kid is saying, Yuri's saying, you called me a scaredy cat, and then
Okay.
Yuffie's saying, you did try to run away at
You
first?
did try to run away at first. No point taking risks if I can help it. If anything happens to me, my mom will be all alone. Let's go. You want me to tell? You want to tell me where we're going? Won't your mom be worried? It's just for a little while.
Yuri reached into the leather satchel slung onto his back and took out a shuriken. It did not pack the same punch as the larger ones Yuffie now preferred, but it was the same traditional Wutai weapon she had used, more or less since she could remember.
Here, I brought this for you. Thanks.
She gave the shuriken an experimental toss. It spun in the air, traced a wide arc, and returned to her. She caught it with a practiced nonchalance.
Not bad.
She grinned.
You're pretty good.
Darn.
Darn right I am. I just got back from the event from an awesome journey to save the planet. I mean, I helped summon the live stream. Seriously, it's about time people start acknowledging what I've done. You know, none of this has exactly been the homecoming I was expecting. Would a welcome back party have been too much to ask? I'll throw one for you sometime. How about a Turtle's Paradise? Sheesh, sounds totally epic. Not.
Not! Yuffie!
They've changed her character completely.
Oh, she's a different person now.
Now she wants to go to the
Fuck's
Turtles'
sake.
Paradise.
Alright, I fucking hate the remake too.
Yeah, bad.
No, her love for turtles, well, the happy turtle, is actually so great. They sat together atop a hill from where they could see the lights of Wutai flickering in the distance. Each time Yuffie tried to start up a conversation, Yuri would look around anxiously to make sure no one was in earshot, so they sat in silence instead.
How are things in Midgar?
Yuri asked after a while, still scanning the area for pursuers.
A total mess. Meteor got pretty close and the live stream came and pushed it away. And even before that, there'd been some explosions. Oh, and a giant monster attack. I mean, I wasn't around to see all of it go down, but it was pretty bad. Yeah, even though I did help save the world, there's so much I missed. What about the sickness? What about it? I didn't know anything about any disease or whatever until I came here. I came here and the next thing I know, my old man's nailing my door shut. He didn't tell you why? Nope. Probably because he thinks I'm still a kid who wouldn't understand. I don't think so. I bet he just didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to tell my mom either.
Yuri sounded apologetic for some reason.
How bad is it, this disease? Word from Midgar is that it's usually fatal. Oh,
Yuffie felt bad for him, but she couldn't keep from asking questions.
why do people think it's my fault? We only got news about it yesterday. A terrible disease going around in Midgar, and we knew right away that it was the same thing my mom had caught, and a bunch of other people too. So they had a meeting or something. Figured you brought it. You're the only one who'd been to Midgar recently.
Yuri was giving her an apologetic look, but she didn't notice.
Was that their whole reasoning? Sure, I was in Midgar, but I haven't seen your mom, and I don't even know the other sick people. And besides, I'm not sick.
She was on her feet without realizing it, shouting. She had an urge to punch something.
Rats carry disease, but they don't get sick. So now you're saying I'm a rat? No, not me. It's just what the folk were saying. And you did see the other people, actually, when you traded them at the training hall. So what? This is so ridiculous. They got sick after that. It's not my fault.
Yuffie grabbed his collar. She knew Yuri wasn't to blame, but she was still angry.
Then let's prove it.
Yuri said, unruffled. She let him go.
Yeah, darn right I will. There must be someone else who is in Midgar. We'll find them and call them out. Then all these idiots who accuse me can come and grovel at my feet and beg for my forgiveness. Starting with old Poop for Brains. Oh boy, they have no idea who they're dealing with.
She cried, standing tall and waving her fist at the world.
You haven't changed much. Still all about me, me, me.
That brought her up short.
What's that supposed to mean? We should be finding a cure, not someone else to blame. I bet we could too if we worked together. But...
He has a point. Though that still didn't do anything for the anger gnawing at her stomach.
if you found a cure, people would have to revise their opinion of you. Then you get your apologies or whatever. I guess.
She considered it. What Yuri said was true, and discovering a cure would actually be the best and nicest thing to do. But she still wanted to find out who really was to blame, just to make it crystal clear it wasn't her.
Yuffie, my mom might not have much time left. I could really use your help. Okay.
She could always find the culprit later. The pair left Wutai behind them and headed south to a region known for its materia caves. Shinra had once planned to build a Maka reactor there, but locals protested and it ended up in bitter fighting. Still, the fact that Shinra chose that location for a reactor could mean only one thing, that the lifestream flow was strong there. Before the disaster, the region could only be reached by means of chocobos, specially raised to carry riders through rough mountainous terrain. But the lifestream eruption had transformed the landscape, and now they could get there by foot. Yuffie being the suspected cause of the sickness was not the reason why Yuri had sought her help. Rather, it was the fact that she had been obsessed with materia since she was little.
There's gotta be materia that can cure the pox, right?
Said Yuri. That was what he'd started calling the illness.
Maybe. Do you have any friends who might know for sure?
Yuri held a gleaming new cell phone out to her. Yuffie had an idea.
Hold on.
She took out the PHS she'd been using throughout her recent quest and no signal. So instead she checked the contacts for a number and dialed it with Yuri's phone. It barely had a chance to ring before someone answered.
Hey, Tifa. It's me, your best friend Yuffie.
Not these exact. So their materia caves are actually in the game, by the way. It's side content now that you guys did.
Right, yeah.
That's really cool. Oh. She talked to Tifa, then Cloud, but no one had yet found a materia that could cure the Midgar pox. They could only tell her how bad it was in Midgar and that no one knew how to stop it. People were dying and everyone was afraid. They also told her that it had appeared immediately after the livestream stopped Meteor.
Everyone's as clueless as we are. Still no cure? Hey, check that out. It looks like a new cave. Let's see if there's any materia in it.
Yuffie handed the cell phone back to Yuri. The fissure she had spotted was at the bottom of a sheer rock face. It had likely opened up when the livestream transformed the terrain in the area. She started to jog toward it. They spent an hour or more in the cave, alert for the glimmer of materia.
God, not even a speck. But this is a new cave, right? Doesn't that mean there wouldn't be any? I mean, doesn't it take time to accumulate? Why'd you pick this place anyway?
Yuri said nervously. Yuffie hadn't really thought it out, truth be told.
Well, if, the live stream was gushing everywhere, it could have dropped some materia, right? Maybe. Is that possible? Who knows? Sure, I guess you're the expert.
There was a tremble in Yuri's voice. Wandering around in a gloomy cave and fighting off monsters as they went wasn't exactly a whole lot of fun. Not even for Yuffie, the intrepid materia hunter.
Hello? Materia! Come out! Come out wherever you are!
She shouted in an attempt to lighten the mood. If she was jumpy in a place like this, then Yuri was surely terrified. How many times had he gone cave crawling? 0 in all likelihood. She ought to go easy on him.
Let's go back outside for a minute and rethink our strategy.
Even in the gloom, she could see how relieved he was. Oh shit, that's me. They were heading toward the exit when they encountered a new monster. At first glance, it looked like a big mole, but the needle-like spikes all over its body and the nasty gleaming eyes marked it as something else.
This'll be a cinch.
Yuffie boasted, hoping to encourage Yuri, and wasted no time hurling the shuriken. It struck home, but the monster countered by spitting a fireball at them. She dodged, barely, while behind her, Yuri managed to leap aside in a panic. The fireball exploded on the ground between them.
Yuri, watch it!
She called. Yuri was staring at the spot where the fireball hit.
Swiftness upon me.
He cried. In the same instant, the shuriken returned to Yuffie's hand like a boomerang, and she threw it again. Its spinning blades caught the monster right between the eyes, and it fell dead. Victory was theirs.
Oh, Yuffie. I was just about to take it down. Way too slow. I could hardly believe how long you were taking.
She said. She immediately regretted her harshness.
I can tell you've been training, though. I might be slow to react, but I can make up for it with my skills. Maybe, but if you're not fast, it doesn't matter. Speed is everything, whether attacking or defending. You got that?
Yuffie went up on her toes, about to make a display of her own speed when
Yuffie, look out!
Yuri drew back, fear written on his face.
On the ground!
Some kind of liquid was seeping from the depression in the ground where the monster's fireball had exploded. In the dim light, they couldn't be sure what it was, but somehow they knew it was not normal water. Yuffie shuddered. It gave her the creeps, like it had some sort of evil aura.
Let's get out of here.
Yuffie said, springing into a run. Behind them, the water began to flow more heavily. It started to gush out of the ground in great spurts, climbing the walls and the roof of the cave, as if seeking a way to get outside. It flowed faster and faster, overtaking them. Heavy drops fell down from the ceiling, and the pair covered their heads with their arms as they ran. Fortunately, they had dropped markers at the junctions to show the way out. It was not long before they reached the exit and burst out into the open air. The landscape was bathed in moonlight, and it was far brighter out here than in the cave. Yuffie turned back to see that the water had stopped within the cave, but it still dripped from the ceiling and made the floor shiny and wet. Even out here with the moon shining into the mouth of the cave, the water was inky black.
I definitely don't think that stuff is water.
Yuri didn't reply. In fact, he wasn't even with her.
Yuri!
She hesitated for a split second, then dived back into the cave. She found him only a few steps in, collapsed on the floor. She tried to help him stand, but there was no strength in his legs. The best she could do was prop him up into a sitting position.
Get up, Yuri. You gotta get up. I can't. Just leave me, Yuffie, or you'll... Don't be a dumbass. I can't take care of your mom for you.
Yuffie grabbed him under the arms and started dragging him backward.
It's too late.
Yuri mumbled as black slime trickled from the corners of his mouth. Somewhere between the caves and Wutai, Yuffie collapsed to the ground, exhausted.
Come on, Yuri. Try to walk for me. If you die out here, it'll be my fault too. Yuri runs off with Yuffie, who was just in Midgar, and then he dies of the Midgar pox. I'll never convince them it wasn't my fault. That's not why.
Yuri could only get out a few words at a time, as if it hurt to breathe.
You dragged me all the way here. Yeah, it is. No, you can't fool me.
He faltered, unable to finish the sentence. Alarmed, Yuffie peered at his face.
It's okay. He's still alive. I just have to get him back to his mom.
She got to her feet and put her arms under his again.
You look as if you need help.
Oh, yeah. Surprised by the voice, Yuffie whirled around.
Red? Would you mind calling me Nanaki?
Said Red 13. A little grumpily, too, she couldn't help noticing.
What are you doing here?
She asked.
I'm on a quest for things to remember. I've only just started, though.
Even with Yuri on his back, Nanaki loped along easily over the terrain. Yuri was draped face down, almost like a load of clothes to be laundered, and Yuffie ran alongside them, keeping a hand on her friend so he wouldn't slip off. Nanaki told her that Wutai was the first stop on his journey, and he planned to head east from here. He'd started with Wutai because it was the westernmost point of the known world. With a native's pride, Yuffie informs him that actually, Wutai was the center of the world, dividing in equal halves the open seas to the west and the lands to the east. Yuffie saw Yuri shaking and for a second feared he was going into convulsions, but when she peered at his face, she saw that he was chuckling. The black stuff had stopped coming out of his mouth.
Nanaki, tell us a story.
She whispered to him. Nanaki thought of something.
Okay, so I have a new cell phone now. When I got back to Midgar with Cloud and Tifa, there was a merchant giving away his entire stock because according to him, more than anything, people need to be able to stay in touch in a crisis like this. Nice guy, huh? They were expensive models too, and everyone kept telling me that my old PHS was out of date, so I grabbed one. Must be hard to use for a guy with paws. I bet it's hardly worth the effort. Texting is awkward, I admit. The screen has tongue smears all over it, and it's covered in saliva most of the time, which can't be good for it. I don't often envy humans, but opposable thumbs would be useful, I can't help thinking.
Then Nanaki had a sudden thought and he squinted at her suspiciously.
But why do you care how easy it is for me to use? No, come on. You can barely operate it. You just said yourself.
She planted herself squarely in front of him and he stopped.
It would be way more useful for someone like me, so let me have it.
She started rummaging through the gear strapped to his body.
Are you serious? You're literally trying to rob me.
Protested Nanaki as Yuffie found a strap hidden in his red fur. It seemed to encircle his neck like a utility belt in the wrong place, and she ducked to examine it. There was a small but sturdy leather pouch attached.
Gotcha. Yuffie, I'll never ever forgive you for this. Perfect! Then you'll never forget me either.
Nanaki seemed resigned to his phoneless fate as she crouched down and reached for the pouch.
Yuffie, take mine.
Yuri said.
I got the same one.
A pause.
In Midgar. What? Wait, what? Midgar? How? I was there too. But then you...
Already unraveling what it meant, Yuffie entirely lost her cool.
You jerk! I'm sorry. I think I brought the sickness to Wutai, and my mom caught it from me. Her friends caught it from her, and I thought if I could just find a way to cure it, then it wouldn't matter who was to blame.
Yuffie stared at him, dumbstruck.
Nanaki, can you let me down? Thanks. Wait. No, sorry, that was
Oh,
Yuri.
that was Yuri. Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
They sat in the meadow, watching the tall grass waving in the breeze. Nanaki's head rested on his front paws. Yuri confessed everything. His mother had fallen sick months ago, not with the Midgar pox, but with another illness that often affected people in this region. It had been a bad case, and she grew weaker and weaker and started talking about how she was going to die. Yuri was determined to do something. He remembered Yuffie, the girl he used to play with, and how she loved hunting for materia, so he decided to go find the materia for himself. But he wasn't intrepid enough to venture alone into the hinterlands, so hunt for naturally occurring materia. Instead, he went to Midgar, hoping that maybe someone in Shinra would give him some. Unfortunately, he arrived just as Meteor appeared in the sky. Every day, he trudged up to the Shinra building, trying to get someone to listen to his story and give him materia, but the company was in disarray and no one had time for a bedraggled urchin from the wilderness. When he finally did manage to corner a sympathetic employee, he was told that materia was military equipment and not for sale, at least not by Shinra. Didn't he know that you could walk into literally any shop and just...
Then, that day came. I holed up in my hostel in the slums and rode out the livestream surge. The next morning, everyone topside was fleeing down to the slums, but I fought my way up anyway. I passed a lot of sick people.
The area around Shinra HQ is a disaster zone, and Yuri realized that the world had changed and he needed to return to Wutai. When he got home, his mother asked where he'd gone, and he lied and told her that he'd been to Gold Saucer for a break.
I couldn't stand to tell her I'd gone looking for materia to cure her, and came back empty-handed. I know the feeling.
Yuffie was still steaming about him keeping his mouth shut and letting everyone blame her, but it wouldn't help to say that now.
You know,
Nanaki interrupted,
some say the materia embodies the wisdom of the ancients. Yeah, I've heard that.
said Yuri.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. It could be the ancients wouldn't have been able to cure your mother's illness either. It may not have existed in their day, so the materia you're trying to find likely doesn't exist anyway.
Nanaki muttered.
Nanaki, why do you have to be so negative? They were really smart. I bet they totally cured it at some point. Then why has no one ever found the materia then? Surely if it truly existed, it would have turned up. Ouch!
Yuffie flicked Nanaki hard on the end of his nose.
Oh no, a nose like his!
She suspected he was right and it made her angry. Because if there were diseases out there that had no materia cure, then maybe there was no materia that could stop the horrible plague that made people leak black slime and die in agony.
Sheesh, Nanaki, you can be such an ass. What did I do?
They had been away from Wutai for only 2 days, but as they approached, they saw a new building had been hastily erected a short distance outside the town.
What's that for? Nanaki, you're on recon. Me?
Nanaki looked nonplussed, but he loped off quickly enough when Yuffie moved to give him another flick to the nose.
I don't think he likes it when you do that.
Yuri said, chuckling. It was good to hear him laugh. In fact, he was looking better.
If Nanaki and I keep up this comic act, maybe Yuri will laugh until the Midgar pox goes away.
Nanaki soon returned.
There are beds inside, about 10 or so. 4 of them occupied. The people in the back look like they have the pox.
Yuffie and Yuri exchanged a glance.
Yuri, get on.
Said Nanaki. Yuffie took off without waiting for Yuri to climb onto Nanaki's back. She came up to the hut and found a small window through which to peek. Just as Nanaki had reported, 4 sick townspeople were laying in beds. What is this?
What is this?
She turned back to Nanaki.
Quarantine. The townspeople believe the illness is contagious, so they're keeping the sick people away. At least that's what it looks like. So they stuck them out here in the middle of nowhere?
Yuffie said and then went around and searched for an entrance.
Yuffie, wait.
Ignoring Nanaki's protest, she went inside.
No, this is horrible.
She cried to no one in particular.
Hello, Yuffie. Fancy seeing you here. But why are you so upset?
Said one of the patients calmly. Something about the woman's voice sounded familiar. Yuri's mother.
People who are sick need to be cared for, not shoved off into some hut outside of town. It's not right.
Yuri knew why the townspeople had done it, but she couldn't accept it.
Come on now, dear.
So Yuffie.
When a contagious disease is going around, you need to quarantine people. Surely you know that.
Yuri's mother replied gently.
But...
It was the only word she could muster.
Oh, goody. They built a house just for us.
Said Yuri as Nanaki carried him in.
You think this is funny? Look, it's no big deal. People are afraid. What else can they do? This place will do us just fine until you can figure out a cure. Me? What if I can't find one?
Yuffie wanted to ask, but instead she pretended to be cross.
Sheesh, not like I needed a break or anything.
Yuffie spent 2 weeks caring for the Midgard pox victims. Despite the quarantine, new patients continued to be sent out to the makeshift hospital. One day, her father came to visit, keeping a wary distance from the hut.
It might not be contagious after all. People are still falling sick even with the quarantine. Which would mean, well, perhaps we were too hasty. I'm sorry.
But Godo's apology did nothing to improve Yuffie's spirits.
Never mind that. Now we still have to find out what's causing it.
She thought. She told Nanaki he needed to go out into the world and try to learn more about the pox, and she ordered him to leave that very day. So far, the sickness had affected only humans, but she didn't want to take any chances. There was no need for him to linger in this diseased
She
place.
sent him out and decided to live in the forest for 2 years. So many people died.
Yeah,
Hey Yuffie, I think I figured something out.
said Yuri.
Why some people get sick and some don't? What's your theory? Well, the people in here were either already sick like my mom, or they got injured badly when the live stream hit them. They were kind of expecting to die already. Are you sure? Yeah, I mean, we've been talking a lot in the hut. It was the same for all of us, me included. You thought you were gonna die? When?
Said Yuffie, startled.
In the cave. Remember when I fell down and I was covered in that weird water? Oh,
They looked at each other.
could that be the source?
Yuffie blurted out. It made sense. The water could be causing the sickness. Yuffie immediately asked all the patients if they drank or bathed in the water that felt strange or was darker than it should be. She arrived at no definitive conclusions. Everyone had noticed that the water tasted different since the live stream swept through town, but it hadn't worried them. Wutai drew its water from wells, and the water often tasted a bit odd after earthquakes when dust and sediment would fall into the aquifers. Some of the people had been struck directly by the live stream. Others may have drunk contaminated water and for some reason or another been expecting to die, or at least thinking about the possibility. Nothing was proven, but Yuffie felt like they were getting closer to an answer. Yuffie and Yuri told Godo what they'd learned, and together they wrote down a short list of rules for the uninfected. 1. Be cautious of all sources of water. Try boiling all water before drinking and washing. Do not think about how you are going to die. For the next year, Yuffie alternated between staying in Wutai, caring for the patients, and traveling abroad in search of a cure. She tried just doing one or the other, but when she was with her patients, she fretted that she should be out searching for a cure. And when she was traveling, she worried about her patients and yearned to go back to them. They had to build a second hut. 3 children fell sick, all brothers aged 8 and 6 and 4. It saddened Yuffie to imagine such young children thinking they were about to die, but when they told her how the youngest had fallen in the river and the other 2 got swept into the current trying to help him, and that they nearly drowned, well, it was further confirmation that she and Yuri might be right. Geostigma, the world began to call it. That strange dark water was the vector. The illness entered people's bodies when they had given up, when their will to live had failed them. Yuri's mother was gone. Yuri still laughed and joked as if he had sworn to himself that Yuffie would never see him without a smile. No. Another year passed. Geostigma was still spreading with no cure in sight. By now, researchers and doctors around the world were coming to similar conclusions about the nature of the disease. But most lay people still believed that infected people were contagious, so victims and their entire families often lived in deplorable conditions. Driven into such a plight, other family members had a higher chance of falling ill as well, which only made the persistent myth harder to discredit. Yuffie was coming up on Corel and she had heard a distant mechanical growl. She couldn't figure out where it was coming from until she looked up to see a huge airship drawing close. She waved. She hadn't seen the airship before, but surely she thought Sid had to be on board.
Hey down there!
She
Oh
jumped.
no, she said hey down here, that's her. Hey, down here!
She jumped up and down and waved frantically, but the massive airship lumbered on, apparently oblivious. She had heard that Sid was trying to build a new machine that would run in oil rather than Mako. People had been saying he'd never do it, but it looked like he'd proven them wrong. No surprise there. The ship was heading west in the direction of Rocket Town. Yuffie was just thinking maybe she should head there too, when she saw the airship coming around again. It descended a short distance away from her, far enough that she wouldn't be blown over by the turbulence created by the massive propellers. Once the ship was down, she ran up to it, waving her arm in glee.
Hey!
The hatch opened, and Nanaki shot out and bounded straight toward her. Yuffie spread her arms to offer a hug, but as Nanaki leaped, she thought better of it and sidestepped at the last moment. He looked back at her reproachfully.
Why did you dodge? Sheesh, Nanaki, look at you. You're huge. I have better things to do than get squished. I'm the same size as the last time we met. Maybe you just got more ferocious looking or something. I suppose I'll have to take that as a compliment. Howdy, Yuffie.
Sid strode over, looking fit and confident. Has he lost weight?
Wait. I'm guessing that's yours.
She said, nodding at the ship.
Damn right it is. Hell of a job getting the blasted thing off the ground. I gotta tell you, this is her maiden test flight. Looks like everything's working. More or less, Blasted engine sucks up fuel like nobody's business. Only got enough left to take a halfway around the world. Can you get more fuel, I mean? Can you get more? Fuel, I mean. I had to pin all my hopes on that dingbat Barrett, so I ain't holding my breath. He's off looking for new oil fields. We got the drills and derricks all packed and ready to roll at a moment he hollers. Fuck, I couldn't read that. That was really...
Despite the professed lack of faith in Barrett's abilities, Sid sounded genuinely hopeful.
Oh, so you've seen Barrett around? Yep, moping even more than usual. But I reckon he's started to get his head together. Seemed happy enough when he set off, leastwise. So, wanna go for a ride? I'm alright, thanks. You turning me down? You're still not over that goddamn air sickness? As if being airsick is a choice.
Yuffie thought, then decided to shoot back.
That's right, and I'm not planning on getting over it either. The great ninja Yuffie has been completely irrelevant. Has one completely irrelevant weakness, and it's only because idiots like you get all nervous when a woman has no weaknesses at all.
Yuffie accidentally calls herself irrelevant.
Yeah, that Yuffie was calling out fucking people that are mad at woke culture. I have to have a weakness, otherwise you'll call me a Mary Sue.
I should start calling people dingbats. That's funny. Yeah, I really like the I think it's a compliment to be called a dingbat, actually. I would like to be one.
You needn't worry about that last bit. You've got plenty to spare. Damn it.
She thought.
Lost again.
But she couldn't help smiling.
Anywho, I ain't gonna force you on board. But take care of yourself and keep doing whatever you're doing.
Sid turned to leave, which reminded her.
Hey Sid, what? There has to be a materia that cures geostigma, right?
Nanaki averted his eyes when she said it.
Depends. What do y'all think?
Asked Sid, looking her right in the eye.
I know there is.
Yuffie said, loud and determined. He pointed at her and nodded firmly.
Then you're gonna find it.
He declared, and that was his farewell.
Yeah, right.
Yuffie thought.
That's still you.
Oh, I thought it looked slanted, sorry. Watching him walk back to the ship.
He's just saying that. He's pretending to know stuff just like old geezers always do. But he did say what I wanted to hear.
Soon the engine roared and the ship climbed into the sky. It banked towards Rocket Town and slowly dwindled into the distance.
Oops.
Nanaki muttered.
He left me behind. You can join me. Where are you headed? The Materia Cave in the north.
Nanaki's expression was hard to read, but from the way he kept looking down or away, she could tell he wanted to say something. She jumped onto his back and leaned forward to embrace him around his neck, then grabbed her left wrist in her right hand and pulled tight so that her left arm was digging into his throat.
Yuffie, you're choking me. Speak! You've got something to tell me, so spit it out. Come on. Fine, just let go of me.
She relaxed her hold.
I want to say the same thing I said before. I think you're on a fool's quest. You can explore every last cave in the world, and you'll never find a materia cure.
Yuffie said nothing and tightened her arms again.
That hurts. Geostigma hurts more. Fine.
Nanaki shrugged and started trotting north with Yuffie astride him. Swaying there on Nanaki's back, she smiled to herself.
You just don't get it, my silly four-legged friend. My search is giving them hope back in Wutai, Yuri and all the others. So I'm gonna keep looking. This materia hunter isn't retiring yet.
Oh, that was so good as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The whole it doesn't matter because it gives them hope.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which in a way is a cure.
So beautiful.
Because-
And it literally in a way is
Yeah.
a cure. Yeah, true.
Exactly.
All of these last two chapters have made me tear up a little bit. They're so good. That one was really
Yeah.
good. Red and Yuffie's were really good. Cloud's and
Cloud didn't have one.
Cloud and
Tifa's.
Tifa's. Who was the other one we read?
Barrett.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a Kate Sith one, but
Denzel.
oh yeah. So we've read Denzel and then
Tifa.
sort of Tifa and a bit
Then
of Cloud
Barrett.
and Barrett. Huh.
Yeah.
Tifa's was a whole chapter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just because Flash said Barrett and Denzel, so I was
Because
wondering.
you said other than Tifa.
Oh right, did I?
Alright, here we go. Let's do Livestream Black 3.
Okay.
Last one from Sephiroth.
Sephiroth.
Despite the panic and ongoing turmoil, life on the planet was returning to a normalcy of sorts. He saw something in the new spirits joining the life stream. The shadowy places of the heart seemed to define them. It was pleasant to him, the persistent drifting darkness, especially when he realized it was his actions above ground that had engendered it. Perhaps he would be able to do something amusing with it, like, for instance, turn the entire livestream black. Concealed within the planet's own life force, he floated throughout the world, leaving his mark on people everywhere he found them. More and more of them with every passing day. The others found the rhythm of their lives shattered, despair taking hold of their hearts. He delighted in this, and he invited the darkness to grow and spread. In time, another thought came to occupy him. I want Cloud to know this is my doing. I want them all to know. He would need a body. There were things he had to say with his own human voice, things that he had to tear apart with his own hands. I could use Mother's power. If I had just a piece of her, I could forge another body for myself. He tried to send his spirit above to walk the surface, but nothing came of it. The planet had consumed the memories of his own form, leaving him with no image on which to anchor his consciousness. But then he found another memory in the live stream that would serve, and he bound part of himself to that image. It took the form of a young man, and he felt once again how the world of the living was unbearably confined and circumscribed. Nothing compared to the freedom he enjoyed as pure consciousness. Still, he had a mission. He created 2 more bodies, and then there were 3. The 3 who walked upon the planet's surface were not him, and yet they were, created by the force of his will alone. Deviations from the order imposed by the planet, they were at once real beings and fantastical monstrosities. He thought about the future. As they search for Mother, my servants will meet those who knew me, and their spirits will remind me what I once was. Once I have Mother's power, I will exist fully in the living world. It will not be long now. Even if I am incomplete, it will matter not. Cloud will be there. Cloud will complete me.
What the fuck?
Interesting.
Why are they setting all of this up in a book?
Monka.
And where does it go? And
Monka.
But I thought all of the other games are set like either before or like during 7.
Only Crisis Core is set before. The rest
Wait.
the rest are all after.
They're like sequels?
Yeah, Dirge and Advent Children is after.
Oh yeah, Advent Children is after.
Advent Children is after.
Crisis
this.
Core is before though.
This is all set up for Advent Children, basically, if you read it before.
Oh.
Even though I think it came out after Advent Children, right? I think. But it works really well as set up for Advent Children, because it makes Advent Children make sense. Because if you just watch Advent Children on its own, you have no clue why things are happening, what's happening, what anything
Yeah,
means.
I feel good about going into Advent
Yeah, 'cause-
Children with this behind me.
Because this explains, like, so you're aware that Sephiroth's trying to do something in the live stream. You're also
Yeah.
aware that Aerith's consciousness is in the live stream.
Yeah.
You're also aware of what Geostigma is, why it exists, and what it's doing to people.
Yeah.
And you're aware of where all the characters are and what they're doing and stuff. This sets it up really well. So I think you could probably find a little bit more enjoyment in Advent Children than I did, maybe.
Yeah, I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited.
Don't expect a lot. Just keep your expectations low.
Okay, I will.
Because it's still a terrible film.
I'll just feel good about seeing my friends again.
you could just pog at the things.
I'll just feel good about seeing my friends.
Man, if only someone could have told you to read the book first. Hey, look, you're my go-to now to the Jas. That's just how it is. Jas let me down one too many times with the bias on
It's
Final
almost
Fantasy
like
VII's
someone told you
compilation.
to read the book first. Yeah, I'm very grateful that you've told me to read the book first.
But yeah. The book
I
definitely
do feel
sets
good
up the
about
movie.
it. I like the book a lot. I think we're through the best of it now because the next chapter is Shinra, which is apparently not so good, but I feel pretty good about Advent Children, Like, I didn't really understand what Advent Children was sort of meant to be. I had no idea, but now, like, I'm quite excited.
Because the title doesn't mean anything. Because Nomura's a fucking idiot. He literally, Nomura does this thing, and it works with Kingdom Hearts, and it's fine when he does it with Kingdom Hearts. But when he does it with Final Fantasy VII, it's fucking annoying. He's just like, why is it called Advent? I don't know why it's called Advent Children. Because he's like, oh, we got Advent Children, so it's like, oh, it's AC. Then we've got Before Crisis, which is BC. Then we've got Crisis Core, which is CC. And then we've got Dirge of Cerberus, which is DC. Fucking idiot.
Is that actually why? That's really
Oh,
dumb.
and then we've got Ever Crisis coming out soon. EC. Fucking idiot. He's gonna do the whole fucking alphabet, the little bitch. I'm gonna fucking snap his neck.
Stop.
I'm gonna abduct his family. I'm gonna hold them at gunpoint on camera so he can see. Until he stops or repents.
What is Ever Crisis?
It's the other remake of Final Fantasy VII that's coming to mobiles, which is like a more faithful remake of the original.
Oh.
But it's also not, because there's scenes in that weren't in remake and weren't in the original, so there's scenes that are exclusive to just Ever Crisis.
I'm excited to watch all the
And
trailers.
Ever Crisis also has a prequel Sephiroth story as well. They need to stop. They need to stop.
But the prequel is the Nibelheim flashback. We don't need the prequel.
Oh no! Well, the prequel to the prequel is Crisis Core, and then the prequel to the prequel to the prequel is Ever Crisis. So.
That's really dumb. That's
Yeah.
so dumb.
The prequel is definitely, like Flash has said before, it's definitely gonna show how Sephiroth got Masamune, and it's gonna like be a thing. It's gonna be a whole thing. I can't.
It's just gonna
wait.
be a whole
I
thing.
can't wait
Anyway.
for more Final Fantasy VII lore. We don't have enough. We need more. Actually,
True.
we need
So true.
all of the lore.
Anyway, yeah, I've really enjoyed this. We're gonna read the Shinra one tomorrow because it's quite long,
Oh man, I can't.
and you know, it's probably gonna take another 2 hours to read. Probably.
Incredible chapter.
I know it. I know you're joking, but
Yeah, no,
I
it's
wish.
not. I mean, it's not terrible. It's just kind of a bit dumb, and it's really funny. So I'm excited.
Are we already at the point where we can freely discuss without spoiler ties? I mean, we're just discussing 7, aren't we?
Yeah, I don't think I said anything about.
Yeah, definitely don't discuss things I shouldn't know. I don't think James said anything, did he? But yeah, you're fine to discuss 7 without spoiler tags and anything.
Yeah, I mean, Ever Crisis isn't
around
out
that.
yet, so
Um,
like I can talk about what we know about Ever Crisis because
But
it's not out yet.
I really like the book. It's really good, and I'm excited to watch
Yeah, it's
Advent
great.
Children. So that will just be, thank God, that will actually be an easy video to make. So I'm
Wow.
excited. What?
Well, I don't know because it's gonna be a bitch to get around the copyright.
Oh yeah,
So that it
true.
doesn't get blocked
But-
worldwide.
But it to be fair, it is only an hour long thing, so it will be like literally a 1-2%
The
of
Final
what my
Fantasy-
current video is.
The Final Fantasy
taking.
VII to remake pipeline is the best thing to watch people go through because it you go through all these different emotions until you reach this point that you didn't think was possible, but you get there.
No, not me. I will be happy.
You're at that point in the pipeline. You haven't played Dirge yet.
I'm happy.
And you'll finish
And I'll
Dirge,
stay happy.
and when you finish Dirge, you'll be like, yeah, okay, so they didn't do a great job. But I remake separate, so that's still good. And then you'll play Crisis Core, and you'll be like, uh-oh. And then you'll play Remake, and you'll be like, oh no, it's worse than I could have realised.
No.
can't
I don't
wait.
want that. I am excited to watch the trailers and like replay 7 remake. Like the last thing I will
the
do
Rebirth trailer is
after
a trip.
I finish the whole compilation, I will go back, I will replay 7 remake, and then I guess I will just watch the trailers of Rebirth
Yeah.
and just Rebirth really. I don't think I need to watch Reunion.
What's the Ever Crisis one?
Ever Crisis.
The
Yeah.
end of the Rebirth trailer haunts me.
Because I remember, the only thing I remember from the because I did watch the trailer for Rebirth, but I don't remember it super well because it didn't mean a lot to me. It was very confusing. But I do remember Tifa saying, "Are you saying I died?"
Yeah, but that's just from
But
7.
that makes no sense. I don't understand what that even means still.
Well, it's slightly different. Because it's not quite the same as 7.
Okay, well, if I watch it again, I'll probably still not understand. You'll have to explain it to me, but we'll wait until then. Yeah, look, I stand by the fact that 7 is done. I've played 7. 7 is 7, right? It's done. That game is amazing. Probably one of my all-time favorite games. It's beautiful. It's great. It's its own thing. The book I will also allow into that little realm of 7. Everything else is like, oh, that is the extended content for 7 that you can discount.
But the thing is, you can't.
The remake
because-
is remake.
But the thing is,
No.
but you can't think of it like that because everybody that talks about it validates it. It's not.
Ah!
It's not something you can disconnect. Because if you disconnect it, people are going to be confused. It's like, no, this stuff all exists. Most people play Crisis Core first. They think Crisis Core is more legitimate than the original game. So to discount Crisis Core is going to be you then can't engage in a conversation with anybody.
Right, yeah.
And the thing is, right, that this
I
what
get what you're
these
saying
games
now.
do is that Dirge will instill in you the quality for sequel content is bad. Crisis Core, if you love Crisis Core, you'll probably love Remake. But it also
Right.
then like you first understand things can be bad. Like with Advent Children and Dirge, you're like, oh shit, all the sequel stuff sucks. Then you play Crisis Core and you realize it doesn't just suck. They think it's incredible, and actually they think it's better than the original game. And then you play Remake and you're like, oh god. Because it could go both ways. Because it's well written, but also they think the compilation's good. So like, they're like, we need to make this all one thing. And also then when you truly realise what they're doing with Remake, you'll have an impending sense of dread.
No, I won't. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna like it.
I can't wait.
I'm gonna like it. Shut up.
What do you mean by they? I mean Square Enix.
They. Yeah, I get what you mean, actually, in that if you ever want to talk about it, people consider it all canon. That sucks. Anyway, I think we'll wrap up now. Tomorrow we'll read the Shinra chapter, which will be a bit of fun.
Chapter.
I'm sure it will be
Finally
fun.
gonna take the L.
It will be fun.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and I think I've got some time to do a little bit more editing tonight, so that is really good.
Tetsuya Nomura will feel my wrath. I'm gonna tie up Tetsuya Nomura and Katase back to back on stools without the seat bit in it, so they're just hanging through it. I think that'll be uncomfortable for them.
What the fuck? Alright, on that note, take care everyone, we'll see you all tomorrow, and then Final Fantasy XIV Friday. So yeah, bye!